And we made it. Let me straighten this up a little bit. How you doing, fam? We got the YouTube fam, we got the Facebook fam. Glad to be here with you guys again. Let's see. I think everything's okay. Done real quick. I'm gonna ask you all to hold for me for just a minute. I gotta pull up a couple things here. So what I'm gonna do is I'll go ahead and put the wait screen up, but I'm not gonna use the whole wait screen, the wait time. I gotta pull up some things here real quick and then come right back. Okay. All right, let me do this. You know what? In fact, instead of the wait screen, let's pull out the courtesy clock real quick, the patented Frank Gooden courtesy clock, and it'll just be for just a few seconds here. Let's see if this works. Okay, back. All right, so how you guys like the courtesy clock? So far, I haven't had to. Adrian made it. How you doing, Adrian? In fact, let me give a quick shout to a few of the people who made it early to join me here. It's going to be an interesting rebuilding Black Wall Street. Okay, I'm gonna make mine pretty quick. We all streaming at the same time. Yeah, TLA is also streaming. So mine will be really, I hope it, we'll see. I mean, it might end up being short. I know I have a very specific thing I want to do tonight, which is kind of interesting. Let me give a shout to Shadida. Appreciate you being here. Lady Di, love you being here. Thank you for the support. Yes. Jen has a heads up on what I'm going to be talking about tonight. So yeah, get them notes. Get them notes. I'll be definitely looking forward to what you have to say because definitely, this does involve you, Jen. And maybe that's just a really nice segue into sort of what I talk about. So you see here, my title is "You Fill in the Blank," and it's, when you look at my thumbnail, it's no blank, no community. And as you know, I just recently, my last stream was about um, the fact one of the reasons why I'm here is because I am very interested in this notion of building a community. And we took a little bit of time and talked about, well, what exactly is a community? Community is definitely built of individuals. There's no community, of course, without individuals, and we can choose to. Um, I got some more comments coming in. And we can choose to kind of join different communities. I talked in the last stream. I talked about a little bit about the community that I was born into, and that's the Black community. Thank you. I guess I do all right. Let me make sure this is all good here. Make sure my setup is on point. It's not perfect tonight. Thank you for the compliment. So, for example, myself, um, born into the Black community, but I've had many different communities, been a part of different communities, and a lot of them right now. As you expand out, the University of North Florida community, that's my alma mater. That's where I teach now. um, the greater Jacksonville community. um, I'm on one of the commissions, one of the mayor's commissions, which is the one for film and television production. And I serve the entire city in that capacity as a member of, uh, of that commission. Um, I have online communities. We all have online communities. One that I'm in that you guys probably don't know about, never heard of, is called the Simulation Football League. It's a competitive um, esports league, and I've been in that community for years and a contributing member there, and it's a really tight knit community. A recent community that I'm in right now, and I like what Adrian says here. Adrian, hey, she tends to build a community wherever she goes. Okay, tell it, say it, talk your talk, talk your talk, Adrian. A new community that I'm happen to be a part of right now is, I guess you can kind of say it's like a social commentary community for that's mostly comprised of Black Americans, African Americans. Um, and this is an interesting community because we're spread out all over the country, and we have people that participate, of several cultures from even other countries. In this community, we have people who comment from different parts of Africa and a few other countries. So I find myself in this new community, and as someone who is always looking to, of course, contribute in any way that I can. Because when you're in a community, you join a community, you want to be, in an environment with who you think are good people, and I feel like I am. I feel like I'm in a community of really good people. And so you're building community. We kind of use the word family when we say that, kind of like an extended family when we get close, and we realize that a lot of us are on the same team, or we have similar goals. Well, you guys know what happens, especially those of you who've been in this community for a while, because the Black social commentary community is comprised of a lot of different, even sub communities. You have the quote unquote Black manosphere, and they have a certain take. You've got people who really, really come at this community from a position of faith, and you have like a subculture there. And I'm one of those people. I never shy to claim that I've accepted Christ into my life, and that makes me a Christian. And so I come from that perspective on a lot of things. I never try to push it on anyone, but I never try to act like it's irrelevant either, because for me, God is very relevant, and the word is very relevant. So you don't push it. You just say, "Hey, this is where I am, and I come from that, and so this is who I am as it relates to the community." And that's all we all should be, right? Just like authentically be who we are. Cast favored one is catching another live. And then gave me an amen. Okay, I'm not up here trying to preach. I am definitely not a preacher. But at the same time, we just all can come from it, from our authentic space, and be who we are, speak our opinions, speak our truth, and speak it in a way that we hope can be positive, uplifting, inspirational, edifying to the group, to other people in the group. Now, in this group, what we find is not everybody, of course, comes at it with that, so we have to deal with that. So sometimes, and we all have different points of view, that sometimes we come into conflict with each other, and sometimes conflict happens. And I'm here to talk about what I consider to be sort of one of these times of conflict that just recently happened. And I want to speak on it because I'm hoping that, like, a conflict happened yesterday between two people who I think are well-meaning, really good people. And it ended up cutting pretty deep, this discussion. And so I wanted to review it and talk about it because, in my opinion, it does have an effect on the community building that we all are trying to do, and that sort of this common community that we all share. It has an effect on it. And it's worth talking about because at least for me, because I'm into community building. I think that we need each other. There'll be times when we don't need each other as much as other times, but I think maybe there are even times coming that we're really, really going to need each other in some interesting ways. Now, not everybody believes in that. Not everybody thinks that way. But I think we need each other. And even if we didn't necessarily need each other, we building a community gives us the opportunity and the potential to come together and do some things that we otherwise might not be able to do. So even if we didn't quote unquote need each other, let's say you disagree with that, we can't deny that people coming together gives us potential to do greater things than if we were to try to we were to try to accomplish these things alone. And the potential can go in so many different directions. So because of that, I think it's valuable. I think it's important to talk about, okay, if what gets sort of in the way of that, what gets in the way of community, what are some of the things? And I'm talking all around it because I'm going to get into it, but this is a serious one. This is a serious one. Yeah, I see here. I'm just posting some of this stuff up here. It's serious. Because number one, so two people I respect. So I'll just go ahead and just go into it. And I don't need to set this up while I'm doing it too. So the first person I want to mention is the lead attorney. This brother is so positive, so influential, so insightful, so helpful. Like he's doing things that are, in the sort of in the vein of helping this whole sphere that a lot of people don't even know about right now. And he is a leader in this community. He would say he has a small channel, and maybe compared to some others that he's small right now, but compared to your boy me, he has a huge channel. So he has some influence, and it's a positive influence, flat out. This space has benefited and will benefit from the way, the things that he talks about and the way that he talks about them. I got a cosign right here. Yes, love TLA. He is very influential in this sphere. Kim Coleman, we love the lead attorney, 100%. And it's easy to, right? Because you see, he's so giving, he's so patient, he's so magnanimous. Even, he is authentic, and um, he doesn't hold back. When it comes to supporting people, he he's coming off as a true giver, give, and that contributes, I think, to why he's doing so well in the space. So you've got TLA, right? So who we all, of course, support and respect tremendously. And then we have someone who came into his channel yesterday and has had, I don't know her as well, but I do respect the points of views and the way that she comes across to me. And I'm going to get into this. Who showed up on the channel yesterday and actually didn't show up. She was actually invited because some people were talking about her. And this is Jen. She has her. If someone can look up and then maybe copy her link to her site. Same thing with TLA. I might have to take the time to look it up, but I want to link to both of their channels just to put on here. But Jen on the block, or on the block with Jen. Jen popped up and sort of responded to some things that someone else, some kind of shade that someone else was throwing at her. And the two, TLA and Jen, kind of got into a back and forth by the end of it. And what I saw was some miscommunications, and some reacting to, like getting emotional about a few things, and just mainly miscommunication. And that led to the interaction going left. Um, and of course, we don't want to ever see that, especially when, from my perspective, it is with two good people. And so, for me, one of the points I want to get to is we need, if we're gonna, because just a little bit about Jen, she kind of classifies herself, she has in this space as Afro Latina, and so she has a very singular point. She has a different point of view, I would say, than say, you know, not different. I don't want to say it like that, but she has her own space as an Afro Latina. Over the Top wants to address something really quick. So, do you want to do this before I get into my thing, or you want to wait until afterwards? Over the Top, because you say really quick, sound like you want to jump in. Because I need to detail some things. And I'll talk about this right now. So with my channel, what I am gonna always value is a certain level of what I'm going to define as respect. Okay, you said really quick. I might have to put the courtesy clock on you. Over the Top. JP is saying that, and we see we got some people with points of view. I'm about to go in, and we're gonna get. It sounds like we might have to share some of these points of view. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Over the Top. Sounds like something she really, really wants to get in on before I get to my points. I'm totally fine with that. Let me get I'm gonna drop the link right here, and let's bring you in, because I have found Over the Top WME. Shout out to Over the Top WME to be insightful. She has come on TLA, and I've actually visited her channel, and she shares really, really insightful points of view. So that's the link. You can click it. Let's see, we got a compliment here. Looks like Over the Top is popping in. I'm going to give you the floor. I'm not going to rush you. I'm not going to put the courtesy clock on you. I was just playing on that one, because I haven't found you. Some people who've been on for a minute, looks like as I get to learn you, we might have to pull out the courtesy clock. It's just a courtesy, though. Never anything rude. I'm going to add you to the stream.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Yes, I just wanted to make it quick because I was actually getting ready for bed.
Okay.
But no, I just wanted to say, in watching it, first of all, I actually reached out to and gave her a compliment because I did liked how before this actually happened on TLA, I think it was yesterday or something. Because I did like how she was able to convey her points and able to just have a great dialogue. So I appreciated that about her. But what I did wanted to point out for others out there, because on my channel I analyze things in a different way, and I talk about how to have a business mindset. So with that said, having a business mindset, we have to be careful in
Thank you
how.
for coming on. You heard what
Sorry. Because I'm adding stuff as I go, because we're getting ready to go into it. That was my bad. It might do it one more time just as you're talking, but I'll pull it off as soon as you do it. So go ahead.
No problem. Yeah. So I just wanted to be just to showcase that we have to be careful in how we conduct ourselves in when we're having a debate, right? And especially as women, like we cannot be. I've said it before. I do not believe men and women are equal, but let's take it to another level. And as far as if we're trying to convey our point, if we're trying to make sure we are heard and we have a strong argument, we have to just stick with that, be calm, deliver it. We don't have to hit below the belt and we don't have to get loud. If the other opponent is getting loud, we just keep calm, readjust, and come back with a stronger argument, right? So, and my last video I just did about Fresh and Fit, I actually talked about how to win an argument. I actually dissected the argument, what they had, and pointed out things that ABBA did in winning the argument. Not saying that I agree or anything like that. I just analyze things, like I said, from a business standpoint, because it helps if you are trying to have a debate with someone. You cannot, get emotional, get loud, because no one is being heard, right? And as you saw, and I was surprised as I saw, it was like everyone just like quickly turned against her. And it's not, don't take it personal, but that's just life. If that's how you're going to present your argument, then now everything is out the door, right? And even though she might have had valid points, which I don't really know, I wasn't listening too much. I don't really know, but now it's all out the door because the loudness and the disrespectfulness, and it was kind of like going toe to toe with another man. So that's what I wanted to point out really quick. And, I hope that in the future, her and TLA could work it out, somehow, because I think she has great points, and she's a smart lady.
I hope so too. That's part of really why I'm doing this right now. I think that this is a situation where some miscommunications happened and mistakes were made on both sides. I'm about to go all the way in on it. And I don't know if you're going to bed now and catch the rest of the stream, or if you're just going to listen or something, whatever, before you go to bed. But you and I are in agreement. I think that there's a certain way we can go about things. I'm hoping that what I do here is going to contribute to the conversation of how that can happen. And ultimately, for me, I'm the same way. I don't want to give it all away, but I'm hoping the two of them can come together and just hash it out.
Yeah, but it just got to be. It's not about one side being right and one side being wrong. Sometimes it's just, and that's the art of having a debate. Understanding that when you need to concede, and understand that I might not agree with you, but I hear you and I respect you. And last thing, and I'm done. TLA and I had, I wouldn't say it was a rift, but I was on his show last week, Friday, and I was trying to deliver a point, and he thought I was getting a little too sensitive about it, and he called it out. I didn't think so. However, when he called it out immediately, I was just like, no. And then I stayed quiet, and then I apologized, even though I didn't feel that I was. But sometimes we could do something that we might not notice. But if someone calls it out, you have to at least acknowledge it, right? And if you don't feel you're right at the moment, just apologize for then, and then you could come back, and then you could come back. So I think that could have been done on Miss Jen's side, only because that was his platform. You got to give respect to his platform. That's his house. So if he's saying you're doing something wrong, respect it and move on.
100%. I think I'm going to get into that part of it too as well. This is going to be quite a conversation.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just put out all your points out there, didn't I?
No, you covered them in a different way. Trust me. I'm about to go in.
All right. I'll be listening to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for the call. Bye. All right. Let's see. So I'm going to give a disclaimer. Everybody already knows, I just mentioned, I come from a Christian background. So I don't do a lot of cussing. I don't do any cussing, and you have to get me really, really upset to even get me to maybe say a cuss word, and then it's going to be a demonstrative one. Then when I do it, it's like going to be this whole like, wow, he said a cuss word just to get it out, but extremely rare. I say that to say that I'm about to go in and play the back and forth, what happened from the beginning of the interaction when Jen called in. And the reason, and I want to play it, and I want to do sort of a play-by-play. And it got, and not only that, but I'm going to play a little bit of the background of what happened before. Not a lot of that, but just a little bit of the background. And it's just real talk. It's just people, even though I don't have, even though I don't. Why are you apologizing, Kim Coleman? You good? What? Oh, oh, okay, yeah, right here. You good? AZZ. It's okay. So, as a general sense, I want to keep this channel, in terms of that, just staying away from cuss words. But I can't with this one because I have to keep it authentic with what was said. And so I'm apologizing in advance here for, anybody who might be listening. Definitely, if my daughters are tuned in, which I don't think they are, they need to go ahead and go to bed now. You should have been asleep. If you because they're with their mom right now, and sometimes they see stuff pop up and they might pop in, but they should be in bed. If you have anybody around you, what I'm about to play is the live, and it has some cussing in it. So I just want to put that out there. It's no judgment. It's not my thing, but it's not something I usually have on this channel, or I don't plan to have. All right, so I'm just going through seeing if I should share anything here. We got people that's kind of commenting on how Kim, my daughter, is 20 years old, and we discussed how women my age act on social media. And for me, I really want to get into definitely Over the Top WME made, kind of a focus and mentioned about women with her being a woman. And I respect that. And I'm with that. For me, I'm even taking it kind of a step further. This is how really we all should be, no matter who we are, man, woman, and really no matter what our position is in terms of if we are a guest or a host or whomever, someone in the chat. Now that's kind of pie in the sky because people in the chat they're gonna let it go, and it's dangerous out here in these YouTube streets. But I do believe that there's a standard that we all should be meeting, no matter what, no matter who we are. All right, so we about to get it. I'm about to go in. Let's see which one. I believe it's the first one. So I'll play it, and I'm just going to pause when I have some commentary. It's about 16 minutes, so it's really not that long. I'll pause when I want to say what I need to say, and then I'm hoping to see some comments, and then later on, if someone else wants to jump in, based on what I have to say.
The other gentleman had said, and I absolutely want to give you a chance to respond to that.
Definitely.
All right, so let me just start out by saying what we see here again, someone else kind of set this up, was basically kind of throwing shade her way, and she was given the opportunity graciously and rightfully by TLA to call in. And so that's what she's doing because, someone's coming at her. She should be given the opportunity to present things from her point of view. Okay.
I'll do my best to be concise. I'm on my phone right now. I'm not home. Mm-hmm. First things first, I don't know that guy. He doesn't know me. He sounds like a Tariq Nasheed minion. I think I mentioned before on your show that Tariq Nasheed went to my Instagram page, took a soundbite of something I said, and then created content, which is what a lot of these guys do, as you know.
I'm going to pause it there. So can everybody hear that pretty clear? Just like a yes or a one or something, just so I can see that you're hearing it just fine with no problem. And I'm just waiting here, see if I can get some yeses. There's a slight delay from when I play it and then when you guys can see it and comment. Hit me with a yes. Assume yes. Beautiful. Okay.
They'll take a soundbite and then make 2-3 hours, a 2-3 hour show, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with your narrative or what you said. The scab comment, I will double down. I am not backsliding. I said specifically, I said to Black people, Black Americans, because there's a difference, right? There's Latinos that say they're Black. Everybody has a different definition for everything, like I said before.
Okay, so far everything's reasonable from where it's coming from my point of view.
The videos are still up. I haven't deleted anything. He said Anglo-Saxons. I have never done a panel with a white person, if that's what he meant. I have never let anybody talk to me sideways. You guys know me enough to know. Do you really think that I was on anybody's panel and they talked sideways to me and I didn't say anything?
Okay, so he made a comment that he felt like she was kind of, kowtowing or, acting a different way with some Caucasians, some white folks, and that he tried to say that she acts differently for them versus when she's with Black people. And you hear her saying, hey, it's never happened. All right, so she's just responding right now.
Do you really think that from what you guys have seen? So you can't find one video of me online where some Anglo-Saxon, as he described it, is talking to me any kind of way, any types of greasy. That's the first thing. The scab comment, I will double down because it seems that people think that I regret saying it or I shouldn't have said it because she ain't Black, right? I specifically said to Black people, stop wearing your Blackness like a scab that you let any person pick off and put you through the pain over and over and over again. Stop wearing your Blackness in this country like a scab. Be thicker than that. Be stronger than that. I still stick by my words. I will not change it. With Tariq.
Okay, so there she made a very clear statement. It's what she thinks and she feels about it. And I think she's completely entitled to have that point of view and opinion. It's one thing to disagree or agree with it, but she's stating where she is and she's doing it really clearly. And in this case, I mean, I can agree with the sentiment. I don't know how many people would disagree with, hey, don't let people use the fact that you're Black or African American against you, in some way. Don't let people have power over you. That's a little bit of how I see it. Bottom line is she's still presenting her case here in a respectful way.
What she did was took that soundbite and said, she said Blackness is a scab. She said Blackness is a scab. That's what Tariq Nasheed did. And that's what this fool was echoing just now.
Okay. So, so this is where we get in. She's coming a little bit hot because, old boy came at her. So, this fool, okay, that's how she's talking. I would consider that a mistake. If you're going to disagree with what someone's saying, then disagree. But in general, we don't want to resort to referring to someone in any other way than disrespectful. And see, the thing is, if you feel like you've been disrespected, then I guess you can say it's hard to do that, right? But should we be holding ourselves to a higher standard if we enter into these kinds of forums? That's a question. Let's see what you guys have to say about it. I'll keep going.
Just now. The second thing is people are confused. They don't know what Afro-Latino is. I am not responsible for your lack of education. I am not going to sit here and go into a soliloquy of the diaspora and the slave trade, but more than Africans were slaves, okay? There were slaves in Puerto Rico and slaves in China and slaves in Brazil and Cuba and Panama and Haiti. There were slaves all over the place. I am not responsible for your lack of education.
Okay, so she's kind of presenting it with an edge, but she's even sharing and dropping a little bit of knowledge, stuff that we all probably know, but maybe for the younger people that might be there, they maybe not have necessarily known that, and she's not showing receipts, but she's sharing an opinion there about some of the history, and she's taking the time to actually, do a little bit of teaching with her point of view. She's doing it with an edge, because she's making the commentary of, kind of like, I'm not responsible for your lack of education. That's kind of a blunt way to put it, but I would call that an accurate statement. She's not responsible. All right. But when you when you tell people the truth, you should always try to tell it in love. Truth can be used as a weapon as well as supportive, so got a little edge. So that when it comes like that, when we kind of, again, she may have felt disrespected, she's going to come in with an edge. And the question again, should we hold ourselves to a slightly higher standard?
Latino is not new. I didn't just invent that last week. Afro-Latinos have existed since the slave trade, okay? My father aesthetically would look like a regular Black African-American man. My mother is more of a Spaniard Latina. That's why I look the way I look. So I'm not, it's funny that people are saying, she's saying the word Black, but she can't say, you don't own, the word nigga, I'm sorry. You don't own the word nigga. And yes, I do have a video. My very first video on my channel is trying to get rid of the word nigga. And let's be clear, okay? I am born and raised in the South Bronx. My entire family is Black and Latin. I have said the word nigga since I could walk. I stopped saying it, okay, because I didn't like it, because I grew up and I felt there was a better way that we can address each other, whether it's a term of endearment or otherwise. Because people think, well, we changed the word. We made it a term of endearment. That's bullshit, because when you're pissed off at somebody like I was, what do? Bitch ass nigga, fuck boy nigga, you a dumb nigga, you a stupid nigga. So the word hasn't really changed completely to be a term of endearment. And I said, you know what? And it's gonna sound corny. One time I was watching Oprah and she said I could no longer use the word that so many people heard while they were being whipped, while they were being murdered, while they were being raped. And that resonated with me. That was the first time I was like, damn, I know again. So yes, my first video on my channel is saying no one owns the word. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you think you is. You don't own the word nigga. It belongs
don't you?
Okay, so we're gonna stop. Well, let's see what TL.
See, don't you see why?
Okay, so he cuts a question, but before I get to TLA's response here, because he's engaging her now. So we heard the point, and she talked about her perspective on this word, the N-word, right? Now, this is a nuanced point she's making, and we have to acknowledge that. All right, she just said a whole lot there and explained about her perspective, her own personal background, the fact that her dad would look Black if he didn't open his mouth, who's walking around. She's acknowledged her heritage, and now she's having a nuanced, she's referring to a nuanced discussion that she had about the use of the N-word. If she's doing that here in this space, we have to acknowledge that because it came directly from her. Okay, we have to acknowledge it. It's not like she just came in and she's speaking ignorance. She's coming in and she's actually presenting nuanced arguments. And if you listen, you understand the argument. All right. And so what I went and did, since it came up, because this was a part of the conversation, that that her very first video, she talked about this use of this N-word. I wanted to watch it for myself. So I went and found it. I just went to it. It's right there on her page. Just like you said, she's not hiding from anything. And I found one section, it's probably about 45 seconds, that probably does encapsulate, in a neat little sound bite, where she was coming from when she first introduced this subject. And I think it's worth looking at and making sure that it's a part of the conversation here. So I'm going to my share screen. I've got it up. I'm going to go to my Chrome tab and I'm going to take us there. I'm sharing that right now. All right. And I think I'm already there. So let's just listen to what she had to say. She made this stream over a year ago, April 22nd, 2020. All right. So let's hear what Jen on the Block had to say about this at that time.
And it's funny he said that, because nothing gets under my skin more than people that use the word nigga and they get mad at other people that use it. I think if you're a Black person that doesn't use the word at all, then you have every right to get mad at someone else who uses it. But if you use it if it is part of your vocabulary and you use it as a term of endearment and as a term of hate, then you have no, in my opinion, say as to who uses it. I don't care who it is. I don't care if they're Asian, Mexican, white. If you use it, and let's be real, we don't always use it as a term of endearment. We don't.
I never use that as a term of endearment.
Right. We don't just, because a lot of people say, well, it's a term of endearment now. It's like, hey, my nigga. But now it's like, you know, we say you dumb nigga, you stupid nigga, that fucking nigga over there. You know what I mean? We use it negatively as well. So how can you say that this word is now ours? We reclaimed it. We can use it how we want because it's a term of endearment, but you use it negatively also. And I think the elephant in the room for me is, why is it so easy for people of color to normalize the worst that we can be? Because I think that's the big picture. It's just like women calling each other bitch. Like bitch used to be an insult, and then along came, it's a term of endearment. My bitch, you's a fly bitch, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, why is it so easy for us to normalize negativity? Why is it so fucking easy? And then you go to other demographics, and that's not the case, right? I can think of a million words to call my sisters, my best friends, my cousins, my nieces. I say, hey doll, hey beautiful, hey sweetheart. Hey, there are a million things that I can call women. Why do women of color, hey bitch, like, why do we normalize that? Because what's next?
All right, we'll stop there. Okay, I'm gonna stop this and come back. Okay, so we just heard that. So here's some things that are striking me, and I'm sorry if I'm not gonna put some of this stuff up because I'm kind of in the middle of processing this as well, and I'll come back to some of your comments as I do this. So what I heard was consistent, remarkably consistent with what she said yesterday. Now, if you guys heard something different and you disagree with me, let me know. But here, what we just watched was someone coming from her space, because she referenced herself as a person of color. She said people of color. She didn't say she was black, and she didn't, she didn't say, she didn't separate herself out either. She was, from my point of view, very accurate about where her stance was, and she articulated what her point of view was, and there's a lot of merit to that point of view, and bottom line, she was consistent. So here you have someone who's presenting at that time a nuanced argument about a nuanced subject, because it's true. The N-word meant something completely different 150 years ago than it did 100 years ago, than it did 50 years ago. We as Black people have been having this conversation in our community about whether or not to use the N-word for decades. I recently read, let me show you real quick. Hold on, guys. You ever get a chance? So I believe this is a Spanish word. Like if we were to try to say this in English, you would say barracoon. But I think this is a Spanish word, or at least some sort of Spanish background. And so it's probably more closely pronounced barracoon or barracoon. And I bet you Jen could come in here and tell me how to say this word. And in this book, this is by Zora Neale Hurston. This is an unpublished book, one of her manuscripts that didn't get published, about the last slave that came on the last slave ship to America. And it's straight up documentary, just in written form. It's biographical. It was something that she went and spent serious time. Absolutely great author. I saw that. Let me put this right here. Following and interviewing this one person, and it's authentic. And you need to read the language that was used. I mean, the N-word was it meant something different. It was used something different. And we have been talking about this. So we just got to understand and acknowledge, again, one of the things that we try to pride ourselves on and I agree with, and this is something that TLA talks about, is intellectual honesty. So if we're going to be intellectually honest, that means we have to be intellectually attentive, right? We got to pay attention to what people are saying, and we can't just forget it when we get lost into an argument. We've got to acknowledge all the details. And if someone's presenting a nuanced argument, whatever the argument is, whatever they're talking about, and it has nuance, then in order to be intellectually honest, we need to acknowledge the fact that it's a nuanced argument. We need to acknowledge it. All right, we can't skip around and try to boil down what someone's trying to say, if it's a nuanced subject, into a soundbite when it's not a soundbite. Okay, it's not something that's if it's nuanced, it's nuanced. It's not going to be simple. All right, so here we see, from my perspective, right now, Jen is not looking like she's out of order so far. She coming in a little hot. She was, and not really super hot, but just on edge so far from what we've heard. You guys let me know if you disagree with me so far. All right. So I paused it at the point here where now TLA is about to engage her.
Don't you see why some people are having a problem with it? If you're saying that no one should use the word, and then you're calling a black man the word nigga.
No, I agree.
See,
no,
I need to start right there. And this is not something that TLA did intentionally. All right. But this is where we begin to, because that's a fair question. All right. And TLA is a good person, and he is probably engaging in his versed 20-year experience as someone who questions people. All right. But the supposition right from the beginning, I'm going to play that last little part right there.
A black man, the word nigga.
No, I agree. No.
Oh gosh.
Don't you see why some people are having a problem with it? If you're saying that no one should use the word, and then you're calling a black man the word nigga.
All right. So now I gotta flip to it. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but now this is where intellectual honesty comes into play, because in actuality, that's not what she did. Now, this is something that, in my opinion, she made a mistake, and she should have immediately corrected, like jumped in and said, okay, that's not exactly what happened. Now, she tried, and we're going to listen to that part. But let's all listen so that we can get the context.
Let's get your man, Donovan.
I'm going to scroll to the part.
Point of view. And as far as, you can't speak for a minute.
Come to find out.
Let's see what she did. And I don't want to get,
and that's that.
We're going to have to have.
We find each other, really? That happened to you? Well, a guy.
Absolutely.
What I'm doing right now
absolutely
is just fast forwarding to get to this one section so that we can hear it in context and then continue.
No problem with. Right, exactly. Simply have to preserve it.
Picked off a corner. So they can get women, right? Just the fact that.
Whatever she wants. Fuckboy actually is pretty apt at this point, so I have no problem. Number one. Number two, you leave the alone. Cheats more, men or women. So women cheat more because
you men,
% of women.
You do, of course you do.
Yeah. Here's the deal, man.
Guarantee you have a gut. You play. Did you? Same thing for the women.
Okay,
same thing. Yours. It's yours.
I preach accountability. Listen, like you are, you can't expect.
I called you out of yours. I have never done that on this platform.
Okay, we get.
So I'm gonna get Y and Z, and you failed to see that. So you can't take that out on anybody else. Accountability and responsibility is yours. It's yours.
I preach accountability. Listen, you're right.
You?
I do. I preach personal accountability. I tell guys all the time, listen, you can't be a fat fuck living with your mama talking about I
apologize.
Same thing for the women. Same thing for the women. It's just like the followers of Derek Jackson. Half of them are fat, unattractive.
And I don't want to spend too much time trying to find it. If I get to it, we get to it. But guys, what they were going back and forth, and what she made a point to say, and if you guys want me to find it so y'all can hear it, then it's basically he didn't give her a certain amount of respect, and we could play it if we wanted. We didn't want to call her by her name, so she was like, okay. Well, if you're not gonna do that, then I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna call you BAN because I'm not saying it. And it was very demonstrative, and she was making a point with it. All right, she was making a point. So let's just play.
No, I agree. No one should use the word. But again, it is a part of my vocabulary. Since I was a toddler growing up in the Bronx, my family is both Black and Hispanic. It is part of my vocabulary as much as it's part of yours, as much as it's part of anybody's on this panel. It is a part of my vocabulary since I was a child, in my environment, in my community, with my family. I decided on my own to curb the word. I decided on my own not to use it. I'm not using it because it belongs to Black people. That's not why I'm not using the word. It belongs to.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop there. So we see here what her argument is. She is saying, and she didn't articulate the way I would have, and maybe she wasn't even complete about it, but all she's saying here is that, yeah, she did use the word, but she's kind of trying to justify her use of it. And basically what she's communicating is, listen, it's not like I'm a stranger to this word. I grew up with the word the same way that you grew up with the word. Like everybody here grew up with the word, using it. And we see that she's being authentic because we know her background. Okay, thank you, Shanita. I don't have to play it. And even TLA acknowledged earlier in the conversation that, hey, listen, even I still use the word. Okay. Now there's a point that he's going to make a point here that is a valid one about where kind of a line that appears that he feels has been crossed. And so that's where he's going here with it. But she's making the same point that he was making earlier. Listen, it's, her point is she is trying, she acknowledges that maybe we need to elevate beyond the use of the word. That's how she feels. But in that case, she failed. And she didn't say it like that. That's where she's coming from.
It belongs to whoever. It is used by whoever comes from communities that I come from. The word nigga with an A at the end is used by everyone who comes from the communities that I come from, who are either Black or Hispanic.
Is she lying?
Period. And I decided not to use it.
Here's the thing. Like looking at you, it's clear, and listening to you talk, it's clear that you're Hispanic. But, people classify themselves as what they want to classify themselves in 2021, right? And you had been asked recently, what do you consider yourself? And you said Afro-Latina, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, you feel like you're Black, right? That's fine. But, that could be the case. I'm just trying to figure out, because it seems like you're saying, well, with the scab comment and Black people do this and you guys should not do this and you guys should not do that. It doesn't seem like you feel like you are a part of us. Okay,
and that might be a valid question here. And it's something that he brings up. And she'll answer it. Let's just let her answer.
No, you're absolutely right. I am not. There's a difference between Afro-Latina and African-American. The cultural differences are there, whether we like it or not. I would never say I am a Black American woman. That is not how. I am not a Black American woman. I am an Afro-Latina. I grew up in a Hispanic home. A Black American woman would tell you the same. I guarantee. Scroll through the comments. She ain't Black, and it's Black women saying it, and it's Black men saying it. So why when I
So where's the lie there? Where's the lie? What she's saying is that she's acknowledging that her culture is a distinct culture from African American culture. And she's not saying that she's Black the way that we see it, right? And I'm gonna put this, maybe Kim, and we're gonna talk about this. Maybe, we don't know. For me, I'm going with where she is and what she's been expressing in this conversation. So maybe you have some history here. But I've heard her define herself as Afro-Latina. And in this conversation, I've heard her speak with with acceptance of who she is in terms of acknowledging the Afro or the Negro lineage in her family line and growing up with Black people and the whole nine. That's what I hear. And it would be disingenuous to try to say, for her to try to say, hey, I think I'm Black, or I feel like I'm Black because I grew up around Black people. People will say that. I feel like I'm Black and they're not Black, and she's not saying that. She's acknowledging who she is and the authenticity of her background and who she is. And I didn't hear a lie. If you heard one, call in and let me know.
Separate myself. Why do I get looked at sideways? They know I'm not Black, and I know they're not Hispanic just because we all have a tan.
Maybe you get looked at sideways because you're making videos talking about, number one, Black people shouldn't use their Blackness as a scab, and then number two, Black people should stop using the word nigger, and then you turn around and call a Black man a nigger.
See, and so TLA has sort of made a statement, and I think Jen's probably going to talk about it here. And this isn't intentional at all. This is just TLA stating his case. But what has happened here is, because it was not corrected right from the jump the first time he said it, he's now staying with it, and he's characterizing what she's saying. First of all, it's an inaccurate characterization. He's going to tell you why here in a minute, why he kind of didn't, but it's inaccurate. If you're going to be intellectually honest, then you need to be intellectually accurate about it. And she just didn't call him the N-word. She didn't do that. What she did was she said the whole thing, and then you have to have the context. And she's explaining the context. She grew up like this, and we all know. I mean, this is what dudes tell each other all the time if they want to disrespect another dude, his masculinity, in terms of, in the streets. It's not like that's some kind of new thing that's going on right there. All right, and I'm not reading this because I'm in the moment right now, guys. So you're gonna have to. I'm gonna go back in a minute, but I'm gonna go back over the chat. But I'm trying to make sure that I stay in the moment here with how I'm seeing this. So this is not something that TLA is doing intentionally, but he has come to a conclusion with the way that he's presenting it a certain way, and he's not trying to do anything deliberately, but he's drawing on his skills now, and it's going to be interesting. Maybe TLA will pop in or have something to say on something like this later on. But all he's doing is just drawing on the skills, and he's trying to get to the core of the matter. But that was a mistake by misrepresenting. And it's leaving out a couple words, but when you do that, you leave out the whole context. And then you disregard everything about who the person is when you do that. She didn't just call him a nigger. Excuse my language.
Okay, but listen, I said
acknowledge a little bit that seems a little fucked up.
I can't acknowledge that because that's not what I did. I'm just saying
it seems. I'm not saying what you did. I'm just saying to outsiders.
And for me, this is a mistake. She tried, but she needed to really come in and correct the record.
Right? Who have all this background information about you having some video with this Tariq guy, right? And to other people who have this background knowledge of you saying that, Black people should not use their Blackness as a scab. Black people should stop using the word nigger. And then you turn around in an argument and call a Black man a nigger.
Okay. And every time he does that, I am going to say that's a mistake, because that's not accurate. And so I think we're getting to the point where maybe, she points that out. But it didn't happen like that. But that's the characterization. And now he's and again, nothing is deliberate. It's just what's going on. He's putting her in a certain box, and she has to fight to get out of this box. Otherwise, that's going to be the reality that people are seeing.
Okay, but you see what you just said.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
Doesn't that seem a little fucked up?
The way you worded it, yes, but that is not what I did. So we have to go with facts.
What did you do?
Not what it looks like. I'm not responsible for interpreting.
And that, to me, that was a mistake. You should have just said just should have corrected the record right there instead of doing all this other stuff. Now you're about to lose people. People could have been on your team because you're trying to present accuracy, but you're taking it somewhere else.
Interpretations. I'm not going to
Jen,
coddle
I'm just
people.
asking
I'm
you,
not
what
going to
did you
baby you.
do? Jen, you said that's not what I did. Fine. So the question is, what did you do?
I made a video where I said everyone should stop using the word nigga. Everyone.
Okay.
I didn't direct it at black people. I didn't say, hey, good morning, black people. You need to stop using the word nigger. I explained my
Okay.
history with
So
that word.
okay, so everyone should stop using the word nigger.
Everyone.
Fine. And then you
Okay, so TLA is doing his thing, and I'm rolling with TLA here because he's establishing from her what the facts are. He's trying to get them from her.
you made a video saying that black people wear their blackness as a scab.
In response to the hypersensitivity and the current environment of racial sensitivity.
Okay.
The
And
video
then
is still the video. You can interpret it however you see fit.
I'm
The video
asking,
is
Jen.
still, okay, the video is still on my Instagram. On the Block with Jen, it is still on my Instagram. I was very clear. I was telling black people specifically, okay, because of the current times, stop being hypersensitive. Stop letting people bait you into every little conversation. For instance, today you started with, I think that guy was mimicking an ape. That comes from your experiences, right? He could have been mimicking a caveman, but your interpretation was, no, he's mimicking an ape, right?
No. I said this is what it could be to me, but I'm putting it forth to you. You guys make the decision, right? How do I know?
And that's what he did. He was very reasonable. You know, she posits a question, he's answering it. We're so far in this fact-finding stage right now is what TLA is doing, and conversation is going good. And they're coming to an understanding. They're trying to establish a common ground from which they can both proceed.
You guys, this is what it looks like to me. You guys make the decision. In fact, I used the word jury. I said, you guys decide. You are the jury. That's what I said.
So then what's the difference when I make a video saying, stop wearing your blackness like a scab and letting people pick it off?
I don't think I'm not sure. Let me back up. I'm not sure if you hadn't seen the beginning of this. Well, you might not understand the context. The context isn't the scab comment. In the last video, some people had a problem with you calling Donovan Sharp a nigga. That's where it came from.
Okay, so they've established the two things, and now he's relating what I think happened. People did have a problem. And there was some other stuff going on. They had a bunch of problems, but that was one of the problems that people had. So I think he's right on point. TLA is doing his thing.
Only person that mentioned the scab comment was this the last gentleman that was on. So it seemed, but I didn't know about the scab comment, and I didn't know about this whole you making a video saying that no one should use the N-word. I just knew that you classified yourself as Afro-Latina. But now, so I thought you were kind of inclusive. But now it seems like you're saying, no, you black people need to stop doing this. Everyone needs to stop saying the N-word. You black people need to stop doing this. And then you turn around and call a black man a nigger.
Okay, you saw how that was presented. Again, he's making the case, but I feel like it's a simple case. Let me just listen to it one more time. I'm gonna go back a few seconds. Let's go back to 10:30. All right.
You're saying, no, you black people need to stop doing this. Everyone needs to stop saying the N-word. You black people need to stop doing this. And then you turn around and call a black man a nigger.
Right. Now, it's important. He's not saying that's coming from him. He's saying that's what the perception is. So he's just relating that. So now it's on her to set it straight.
Yeah, but the way you're wording it, right? You're villainizing my words now. That's what you're doing.
And that is a mistake. That's a mistake you made, Jen. The reason why it's a mistake is because villainizing implies intent. Like you could have said something like he's either mischaracterizing it, which is can happen without intent, unintentionally mischaracterized, or you just got the facts wrong or whatever. But you accused them of something, and that's an accusation. And so now he's got to TLA has to address that, and we're about to see it. And this begins to put us on a path where a choice of words, or I mean, I'm kind of bringing all this into the realm of miscommunication, but these things can happen. This is when stuff can start to go left.
That's what you're doing. You called the black man a nigga. Listen to how that sounds. Listen to how that sounds.
Villainizing your words.
Yes, you are.
And if she had just used a different word there, then maybe he would have been able to hear the point she was trying to make, which I think was an apt one. Oh my gosh. And so now I see we getting into it here. He would have been able to hear it, but he's busy now reacting to an accusation that he's villainizing. And I see the point what you're actually trying to make, Jen. I see this point. The effect of the word is one that does not put you in the proper light, especially considering the facts of the situation. And so it casts a negative light, but that could have been communicated in a way that, you didn't mean to do this. It's not like you cool with TLA also. You didn't mean to do this, but that turned into an accusation, and that's putting us on the path now.
Listen to how that sounds.
Is
Okay.
it not a fact? Wait. Okay, let's take a step back. Let's take a step back, because you're talking about villainizing, you're labeling, right? Is it a fact or is it not a fact that you called a black man a nigger?
It is.
Okay. TLA doing his thing. He's going to establish what the facts are. And he asks her directly. And this is good stuff right here, because now he's like, okay, let's make sure that I'm not doing what you just said I was doing.
It is a fact that I called a black man a bitch-ass nigga.
I didn't even want to make it that worse, right?
All right. See, and that's the mistake. That's a mistake that TLA made. He just said he didn't want to make it worse by, adding the rest. But the rest of what she said, that context matters tremendously. And that put us on this path where, okay, let's say that's a genuine comment, and I think it is. I didn't want to make it, but you need the intellectual accuracy in order to have the intellectual honesty. All right. So no matter what it is, you just can't tiptoe around what people are saying. And so that one little thing right here, which should have been handled the first time TLA said it, you called him an N-word, should have been handled the very first time he said it. But because it has been allowed to go this way, and now it's, we're getting kind of into our feelings a little bit. Emotions are getting a little high, blood pressure's racing. Now we're not necessarily watching our words as much as we can. And now you got two good people that are kind of at odds because of a sort of a fundamental lack of clear communication.
So don't tell me that I am villainizing your words when I am stating facts, Jen. I just had to get on somebody else recently about us being intellectually honest on this platform.
And what I just said, and we can have somebody come in and say this: in order to be intellectually honest, you have to be intellectually accurate. I don't see how you can have the latter without the former.
Don't tell me that I'm
the former without the latter.
What did you say? Villainizing your words when I'm stating a fact, because it looks like you're trying to escape accountability for what came out of your own mouth, and you're 47 years old. Like, I'm not talking to a 15-year-old here. All right. So don't tell me that I'm villainizing your words when I'm just stating a fact.
And he really feels like he's stating a fact because she hasn't really been demonstrative about what actually happened. And she is objecting to the way he's characterizing it. So this is a really, really important thing here. So then TLA is kind of, again, not intentionally, but this is being a little bit patronizing. When you start bringing up things of what people should have known. I'm gonna play that little part again. This is, start getting a little extra. And again, there's nothing intentional here, but we're getting caught up now.
Years old. Like, I'm not talking to a 15-year-old here.
Right. Patronizing. This is another grown, and we just don't need it.
All right. So don't tell me that I'm villainizing your words when I'm just stating a fact. You see where I'm coming from?
I see where you're coming from. And the reason why I said you're villainizing it is because if someone just took what you just said, just the soundbite, you called a black.
Okay. So JP, I'm gonna stop here just to do this. Please state again what the fact is. The fact is that what we're talking about here and what I'm talking about is the actual words that she used to call him. She called the guy, this Donovan guy, a B-A-N. I'm just not gonna say it, guys. And because the conversation has been framed in such a way where the B and the A was left out instead of just the N, it makes it look like something that it's not. And so that takes the whole context completely out. All this context is relevant. Her background, who she is, how she grew up, always using the N word, understanding the context and always using it the way we all understand it and the way we know it. When you present it in a certain way that tries to be absent that, then it makes it look like she's doing something that she's not. And it's really, really important that the conversation is not allowed to go there because it's a fundamental misunderstanding. And if you proceed with that fundamental misunderstanding of what the basic fact is, and without the context, you can take the whole conversation somewhere completely. It'll go way left, which is what happened here.
Man and nigga without context, without seeing that this man was disrespecting me repeatedly and calling me out of my name. If they just took your soundbite, that's what Tariq Nasheed does. That's what Tariq Nasheed did with my video.
I am not in control of sound.
Wait, Jen, I am not backsliding. I am not backsliding. I am not being unaccountable. I called a bitch ass nigga a bitch ass nigga. That is my language. That is my vocabulary, and it's always been. Now, with that said,
and that should have been right off top. We wouldn't even been here right now if the context would have been set right from the beginning. The whole thing. He was goading me. He was prodding me. I matched his energy, and this is specifically what I said.
Yes, I reverted back to my roots. That is how we've always talked, where we come from. But that doesn't mean that I like using the word. I reverted back to my roots. I still say everybody should stop saying nigga. Everybody, not just me, everybody. And I wasn't talking at.
See, and so she went back to her nuanced point. She admitted that she said it, and she's trying to explain the context, and she's not even trying to say she was right for saying it. She comes back and says, I still stick with my original point. I still feel that we shouldn't be saying it, but she's not being really clear about just owning the fact, hey, I messed up. She didn't say that. I made a mistake. You know what? I matched his energy. That was something that maybe I shouldn't have done. Maybe, I feel justified, but maybe I shouldn't have did that. So, especially in light of how I feel about it, I kind of let myself down in terms of the personal standard that I have. All right. She didn't do that, but she's still making a nuanced point while being a little bit defensive about it. And then TLA says it's hypocritical. So now TLA is coming to some conclusions now that he's expressing, and he's using the word hypocritical without acknowledging the nuance of the argument. All right, in my opinion, that's a mistake.
And I wasn't
hypocritical.
No, sir. I wasn't talking at black people. The video was still up.
Okay, the video still what's not helping is I don't know who he is, but he's co-signing. So you have somebody now on the panel who's agreeing with TLA. It's hypocritical. And so they both have missed it, the nuance of the argument, in my opinion.
No, sir. I wasn't talking at black people. The video was still up. The video is still up on Instagram. Judge for yourself. Watch the video and then tell me if I was going at black people and telling them that they wear their blackness as a scab. I'm not responsible for your hypersensitivity. I am not responsible for your hypersensitivity. I am not responsible for your misinterpretations. I'm responsible for my words, and I stand by them. That's why the video is still up.
So you stand by. So you stand by calling Donovan Sharp this bitch ass nigga when you're making videos saying no one should use the word nigga, and making videos talking about how black people wear their blackness as a scab, and yet you call a black man a bitch ass nigga. That's what you stand by?
I don't.
I'm asking you a question.
Let me answer.
Okay. So TLA is pressing her, and he's trying to get a specific answer. This is kind of maybe where the attorney part comes in. He's probably used to doing this in the courtroom. I don't know. Where you got to think about the background now for TLA that's coming in. He's an attorney. He's used to thinking in conditions of winning. I'm not saying he's trying to do that here, but he's, you know, you go into the courthouse and you question with the intent of winning the case. So in doing that, part of what you have to do is set the agenda. So you ask questions in a way that you want to ask them, and then you frame it. You know, you're framing the argument here. And so he's trying to press her, you know, and this is something that TLA, you know, nothing malicious or anything. It's just part of how he goes about it. But he's trying to press her within the framing of how he has framed it. And I think she's trying to answer, but then number one, I don't think that, you know, that's the best way to get at what the truth is here, but this is what TLA is doing, you know, pressing the box, and then she's trying to answer because she did, but he's like insisting he wants it a certain way, and she does lose her cool and yells out, screams. All right, so we got another breakdown here, and that's a mistake on Jen's part based on, you know, sort of the way that TLA was trying to proceed with the argument, the way he was framing it, the way he was answering the question, the way he was insisting on getting an answer in a way that was suitable for him.
You asked me like you
do not
answered.
listen. Wait, I don't know where you're from. You're not going to scream at me, especially on my own platform.
So then let me answer.
Listen, no. You listen. You know, I don't know where you're from. Like, who raised some of these people? You're making all these videos, and it's clear to everybody the hypocrisy. I'm asking you very simple questions.
He has a point of view, and he's expressing it. I don't think it's accurate.
And you're screaming.
That is accurate. Well, you know, in terms of raising a voice, she did holler out. She wanted to be heard.
Why are you screaming? You're 47 years old.
Okay, we're edging towards patronizing here. I'll just keep going.
All right, I'm just asking you very simple questions, Jen. If you don't want to answer them, fine, but you don't have to scream at everybody. No one wants to hear a 50-year-old woman scream.
Okay. So he's making a good point, but he's throwing in, you know, he's not doing it from my perspective in an ideal fashion.
Now, if you say you stand by everything you said, then that's fine. Fine. But now I understand why a lot of people had a problem. I was only operating under the one piece of information that I had when you said a couple of streams ago that you consider yourself an Afro-Latina. So I thought you were part of the in group. But you're not. And then you're
Okay, and so you see what's happening now is TLA is feeling like he's getting an understanding of what's happening. And so now he's making some demonstrative statements now. It's based on the way the interaction is going. Now he's coming to some conclusions. All right, and from my point of view, these are unfortunate conclusions based on what I consider to be a flawed process towards getting towards the truth. And that's on his side. On Jen's side, she's not reacting in an ideal way either. But now we're kind of caught into this. We kind of got on this track. You know, we edged on this track from the beginning, but then things went left when, you know, Jen tried to kind of call out how this is making her look. And from my opinion, she didn't do it in the proper way. So now what's happening is people are drawing lines in the sand. You know, and from my perspective, these are two good people just having two different points of view and kind of a process that's leading us here. All right. So for me, this is unfortunate and far from ideal. And it's all based on, from my perspective, a miscommunication of a number of things.
Listen, all right, so do you feel like you owe Donovan Sharp an apology for calling him a bitch ass nigger?
Okay.
No.
Right. And so, and this is TLA's prerogative, is his channel. So he made his comments and came to some conclusions. And now it's his prerogative, it's his channel. He's now asking another question based on, just kind of furthering along, but we see the assumptions here. Like, he didn't ask, well, do you think you both need to apologize to each other or something else? He asked the question based on his perception and the conclusions that he's made, that he feels like she was the one that was out of order here in a number of ways. All right, so that's what he asked her.
First of all, I'm 47. I'm not 50, but I know what happens in the manosphere, right? I know the ageism in the manosphere. I'm 47. Second, nobody should use the word nigga. Not even.
I'm just asking if you feel like you owe him an apology. That's all I asked.
I think that we both owe each other apologies.
That's a fair comment from my perspective. That's a fair answer. I don't remember what happens from here, but I do think they both owe each other apologies. And this is with the Jen and Donovan situation.
I think that we both owe each other apologies.
What do you think you owe him an apology for, Jen?
And no, I shouldn't have been screaming.
Jen,
All right, and see here, Jen recognizes that, and we're probably going to get into it a little bit. Okay, the screaming was over the top. That's out of order. Right now, TLA ain't hearing that because he's focused in. I'm saying anybody's wrong in here. But, because he's so focused, he's not giving a little bit of grace here for Jen to kind of get right, get back on the right path, at least with the screaming at him, the disrespect. She acknowledges here. She's trying to acknowledge, okay, no, that's, it's over the top.
I have a question. What do you think you owe him an apology for?
For calling him out of his name. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely, for calling him out of his name. But
so she admits it. She recognizes that, and TLA got what he wanted. You heard him say, okay. I'll play that little part one more time. This is what TLA was sort of going at. He's wanting to know whether or not Jen is going to assume some accountability for her side. And guess what? To her credit, Jen did, right? That sounded authentic to me.
For calling him out of his name. But I think we both owe each other apologies because we both got hyper. But I'm not going to apologize for what I observe and what I comment on. I'm not going to do it. And the reason why I was just yelling, and I don't want to be yelling on anybody's platform, not just.
She said it flat out. She's trying to explain, and she's acknowledging she don't want to be yelling on anybody's platform.
It's yours, but on anybody's platform, is because when I come on this platform, you have to understand the energy. I have 500 idiots in your chat section coming at me.
And that's where Jen made the biggest mistake. She made a mistake there. And what's happening is she's trying to frame the situation to try to explain her point of view. And from my perspective, she just could have done it in a better way. Because the perspective here she's trying to say is that everybody's coming at her. So she's on the defensive and she's feeling like she is feeling attacked. And this is me putting words in Jen's mouth. And I'm sure maybe Jen, at some point, we might even end up debating on, what she was saying. But she took it another level when she said that, 500 idiots in the chat. You can't argue with that. That's a little, that step is a wrong step. Should not have done that. That was a mistake.
And then I have you correcting me, and then I have panelists coming at me, and I've been holding my own.
All right. Listen.
And that's where TLA, he's just not gonna have it. Now, let me just tell you what I would have done. Like, TLA went in, and he's totally entitled. And I'm not gonna say what I would have done was right. Maybe he was right. I would have probably put the mute on. I intend to be quick on the mute if people, disrespect me or the channel or do something I think is just out of order. I'm gonna be quick on the mute. But so that I can explain to you what's going on. And then if you continue after that, okay, then you might get the boot. But TLA he's going to explain it right here.
So, we got one rule here. We got one. There's so few rules. There's so few rules on this show. And you see it, right? You see it. The one rule we have, though, which I have enforced always is that when you're up here, we don't disrespect the chat. We just don't do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can talk to me, and you really should be talking to me anyway. I don't really like so much when people are looking at the comments, because we're up here in a conversation. But you're saying, oh, there are 500 idiots in the chat. These idiots are supporting me. These idiots are watching the stream that you're on.
Perfectly 100% reasonable points here. TLA is 100% in the right, in my opinion. I agree with him. That's something you don't want to do. Don't disrespect the chat. And that was, that was straight up name calling. Let me let TLA.
It doesn't make any sense, Jen, and especially not for a 50-year-old. I know you're 47, but ageism is a thing, right? All right. So Donovan, you got your apology. Shout out to Donovan Sharp. Shout out to Donovan. All right.
All right, I'm gonna leave that alone. For me, it was really important that I go through a play-by-play on that, and at least express how I feel on it, because I think we're dealing with two good people who just had mistakes, who just made mistakes and some, miscommunications, errors in communications, and then things just went left. And for me, this circles back to community, because some steps have been taken even since then that are a result of what happened on this stream. And I think we all understand the importance of community. And I feel like if good people are trying to contribute and be a part of the community, then we should take advantage of that and try to, for me, turn this into an experience where we can hopefully try to learn something from. I'm not coming in here trying to say, oh, Frank Gooden's way is the right way, or my perspective is the perspective. What I'm trying to say is that I'm going to break down how I saw it from my side and be respectful across the board. I have nothing but the utmost respect for TLA, 100%. And I'm rolling with him. And I have nothing but respect for Jen as well. Like, to me, she made mistakes, but she wasn't out of pocket, and she wasn't expressing anything that for me was out of order. So I'm going to bring some people up. I see Darius in the back. I'm about to pull you up. Darius. The last thing I'm going to say is, and I'm going to turn it over to you all if you have some things, because I haven't been following the chat while I've been expressing myself, is that for me, I hope that this can be a way that we can use, a way for us to use it, look at it, build the community. My personal hope is that these two good people can come together, talk it out. Families fight. Name me a family that doesn't, name people who are in your community who don't end up having an argument at some point or another, whatever the community is. Family, colleagues, work-related, work buddies, cousins, any community. We have our disagreements. But to me, this is something that I think if we can acknowledge, we can have humility and acknowledge the things that we brought to it, just in a real way, self-introspection. And then these two people my hope can get together somewhere, work it out, hash it out, and say, you know what, maybe Frank is right. I'm adding my boy Darius to the stream.
Yo.
I'm so glad to have you on, because I find you to be an incredibly introspective brother as well. Whether or not you agree with everything I say or not, I've been watching you on some other things, and of course you came on my stream, and I'm looking forward to just your perspective on it. What you got to say, bro?
Okay, thanks, Frank. First of all, I want to say congratulations, Frank. Your streaming, man, your channel is amazing, man. I love the content.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate you for having me on. Now let's get to it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to say first, I personally do not have an opinion about Jen as a person. I don't know Jen, and I think it's important to give that context, because I don't want anyone to ever think that I'm projecting a particular motive on top of her. She's I'm sure she's a nice person. She may have her flaws. She may have her good points, and that's cool. But I see what you did, and I felt like what you were trying to do was trying to validate some good points she may have had in that exchange with the lead attorney, and also give context to what the lead attorney was saying. And I get that. However,
Be real, authentic. Go ahead, let it go.
Jen was 1,000% wrong. Okay.
Yeah,
And it's not the fact that she necessarily said that. Some people got offended by it, and I understand and respect that. For me, it's the fact that she said it, but has ideals that go against saying that. It was the contradiction that everyone saw that started to really bother people. Because, hey, people say the N-word or say racial slurs all the time. Most of the time, they acknowledge it. I said it. I apologize. Whatever. But it was the contradiction. So let's get into it. Let's break down what happened. So when she got on the stream, when she got on the stream, she immediately tried to defend the prior content that she did that spoke on the Black community. So at first, off rip, we get context that she's speaking about the Black community. This is not somebody that lives within her own Afro-Latino community that's somewhat nuanced and separate from our community. She's speaking directly on our community as Black people. Okay, so that's important context. She speak on Black folk, right?
Right.
So let's take it a step further. She mentioned the video about the Black people using their, racism or color, whatever, as a scab, using our oppression or whatever. I can't remember exactly how she worded it, but the scab thing. And while her point about that may have been valid, it creates context that she acknowledges that she has a voice in saying what's right and what's wrong about our community. Now, whether or not the content of what she's saying is right or wrong, that's a different story. But the fact that she's speaking on it is like, okay, you're giving us criticism about our community. Anything that you do that contradicts that, we have a right to speak on that too. Important context.
Okay, explain that last part to me. I caught the first part. The second part of your statement.
So let's say it another way. If I talk about people that don't take care of their hair, people that don't wash their hair, I'm like, y'all gotta wash our hair, man, because y'all be having dandruff. Y'all go to the barber shops. Y'all got all the white stuff in the clippers, your hair falling out, your hairline recede. And I'm talking junk about these people. And then they catch me doing the same thing. It's like, it's hypocritical. Now, while my point may have been valid, there's some truth to what I'm saying. It's the fact that I'm not even practicing what I'm preaching in practicality. It kind of skews my voice to be heard. The volume of my voice is kind of lowered a bit because I'm not practicing what I preach.
Okay, so close the loop then, because I see the analogy that you made, and I think it's a good one. So she to flip it back, she made a commentary. She had an opinion on what she thinks the Black community to do, and so then complete that for me. What was it that was hypocritical?
Okay, so all right, so the context, because the next topic that was brought up was when she talked about the N-word. She made a video about the N-word, and I actually had an opportunity to catch it. I caught a little bit of it. I wanted to watch it because I needed some full context. And she had another gentleman on there, and they were kind of exchanging their experiences with using the N-word, and on that particular video, there was a person that made a comment, and the comment was that we have took ownership of the N-word and we've turned it into something that's a term of endearment, because we took something that was negative and now it belongs to us. We took ownership of it, and now we have rights to it. We can use it however we see fit. And Jen made a statement, well, that doesn't make sense, because when most people use the N-word, they're using it in the derogatory way. So it's like, how can you make that statement valid when people use the N-word negatively? And that's a good point.
That's not accurate. So were you here when I played that clip? Because I actually played it. I went to the video and played that exact clip.
You did? With her on her channel?
Yeah.
Okay, I watched it. I just watched it myself. So gotcha. What did I misconstrue? What did I get wrong?
So the way you just said it, you kind of said that, how can you say that when, how about this? Let's get on the same page, because I think that's the key point, and let's play it so that we can, because the point you're saying right now is that you feel like she was being hypocritical because she said then, and you have an understanding of what she said, and so this is undercutting, this is making it hypocritical for you. This is like you losing all credibility because you're being a hypocrite about it.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. So let's I think you brought up a really key point. That's why I played it. And so let's go there real quick and play what she said. Share screen. Here we go. And I'm just gonna play that first little part that you just talked about, because she said some stuff out of that, but this is what she's talking about.
Use it, and let's be others outside of those.
How the nigga come out? I'm sorry.
David Dillon says,
okay, hold on.
As where I would never call them that. A word that an oppressed group reworked to use internally amongst themselves. But I also get the Oprah reasoning as to why not to use it. That being said, nothing gets under my skin quite.
We're not there yet.
Outside of those feeling like they're disadvantaged by not being able to call others those words. And he says, cracker out. Signed off.
Come on,
other
hurry up.
people that use it. I think if you're a black person, other people that use it. And it's funny he said that.
All right, here we go.
It gets under my skin more than people that use the word nigga, and they get mad at other people that use it. I think if you're a black person.
So let's start with that. What she's saying is that she's not feeling people who use it, but then get mad at other people who use it and try to say that they can't use it. So we'll just keep going.
Person that doesn't use the word at all, then you have every right to get mad at someone else who uses it. But if you use it, if it is part of your vocabulary and you use it as a term of endearment and as a term of hate, then you have no, in my opinion, say as to who uses it. I don't care who it is. I don't care if they're Asian, Mexican, white. If you use it, and let's be real, we don't always use it as a term of endearment.
I never use that as a term of endearment.
Right. We don't just, because a lot of people say, what's the term of endearment now? It's like, hey, my nigga. But now it's like, we say you dumb nigga, you stupid nigga, that fucking nigga over there. You know what I mean? We use it negatively as well. So how can you say that this word is now ours, we reclaimed it, and we can use it how we want because it's a term of endearment, but you use it negatively also. And I think the elephant in the room for me is, why is it so easy?
Okay, and we could. I'll let her finish this one thing.
Of color to normalize the worst that we can be.
Okay, and that's where she pivoted a little bit. But okay, so is that the understanding that you're saying that you had, or do you have a different understanding after watching that now?
Well, it's kind of where I was leading to, but that's my thing. That's what she did, mind you. She's on a platform. I understand that it was a heated discussion and debate, but mind you, you're on a platform with people you don't know, and people that are not Afro-Latino. There's people that are white, African. There are people that are African American that feel differently about the N-word than you do, and she doesn't know the people on the panel. She doesn't really know the lead attorney. So we don't have a history or a catalog of her using that word for us to say that that's a part of her vocabulary. Because she doesn't even identify as Black. She specifically said that she's Afro-Latino, and she made a distinction that they are not one and the same.
Right.
So you can't make that distinction. You can't be on a platform for which no one knows that you use nigga in any, the N-word in any kind of context, and then say the N-word as a derogatory term against a person for whom you have ill will towards, and then say that you know the following day try to defend it. It is hypocritical. It makes no sense to me on any front.
Okay, so you're kind of saying, hey, it's a myth. You should have realized where you were before you did that.
Right, because let's be honest. Let's be intellectually honest. Was Donovan very? Did he have a combative energy when he came on? Absolutely, 1000%. But I don't think his intent was to defame her or be derogatory. I just think it was to challenge. And of course, when men challenge each other or when men challenge ideas, it can be very aggressive. And I think that he had a very aggressive, condescending type of energy. And I understand her being upset or finding that energy to be combative with. I get it. But he didn't call her anything that would offend the people, that didn't offend anybody in the chat. There were 1,000 people in the chat, and no one was offended by boo, honey, or whatever the little cute terms that he was saying. Now, if it was offensive to Jen, fair enough, fair point. Okay, I get that and I respect that, but it's not something typically thrown out as a derogatory term or something that people in large numbers would find offensive. Let's be intellectually honest about that. So for her to be upset and to say that she's matching energies, but use a derogatory term that is not only loaded, culturally loaded, because all cultures in some form of fashion use honey, boo in a condescending way. That's not culturally based. That's just being a jerk. But to say the N-word and to say a N-word at that, that's culturally charged. And you use that in a context of a debate, and then trying to go on the lead attorney the following day and try to have a circular argument around it. That's unacceptable.
Well, I mean, I think she'll tell you that. She said it. We listened to it. She felt like she owed him an apology for what she said. But on the flip side, she did the same thing. I don't think she's trying to justify what she did was right. I personally think it was wrong too. I
disagree with that.
What's that?
I feel that the reason why she couldn't answer the lead attorney's very simple questions, because his questions were framed to be kind of a yes or no, like an initial yes or no answer. But she didn't want to really answer him because she felt like she needed to defend her position, defend what she said. She even said, I stand on what I say. And the lead attorney asked her a very poignant question. He asked her, so you stand on calling a guy BA-N-word and then having videos about not using the N-word. It's like she felt like her words were being taken out of context. And because she didn't feel the need to really provide context, because she felt more of a need to defend herself. And that's where, to me, it's her whole point was she got on that show to defend herself. She wanted to defend. She didn't want to admit. She didn't call in to admit any wrongdoing. It took the lead attorney to lead her down a rabbit hole just for her to say, hey, we both need to apologize to each other.
I feel you. Your sentiment, I think you're on the right track, because she didn't give an inch.
No.
She didn't give an inch. I think that there's some other nuances in there, but the general sentiment of what you're saying, I do agree with.
It's a multi-layered situation. And I think the problem that a lot of people, the issue that people are doing, the thing that I see people are doing is that they're seeing the situation through one pair of lens. And I think that's a disservice because it's multi-layered. You have multicultural female calling a black guy the N word. That's one thing. And then you have accountability and in the manosphere. And I don't think this is necessarily tied to any particular ethos, but you know, women lacking accountability is also really big right now as a whole. People lacking accountability, period, is really big right now. People are really looking into accountability in a lot of ways. And for her to be on a show that is based in rooted in men and helping men for the most part, and to get on there and not show any accountability for what she said.
She showed some. You don't think she showed any at all?
No, because accountability means that you don't try to take a back door out of what you said, because it granted, she said, the lead attorney said exactly what she said in that live. He repeated to her what she said, and she said that you're twisting my words. That how is that accountability? It's like saying, yeah, I said it, but that's
so
not
what part are you talking about? Because he didn't repeat verbatim what she said at the very beginning. Like he had to be led into that. Like he was inaccurate with his characterization of when he said that you called him N-word. That's not precisely what she said.
That is, but.
And that's the whole point. How long have you been on this stream? Did you come in at the end? Because that's like the whole point of like I'm spent 15 minutes talking about, for real. I went about
I hear you, but I don't agree with your characterization of that.
Okay, so let's get our facts right then. Did he or did he not say to her that she called him an N-word without the full context, without it saying precisely quoting what she said? Did he do that or did he not at the beginning?
Now, the exact words, no.
That's my point.
But the actual, okay.
So you see my point, and that's what I'm stressing, that because he didn't do that, that created like this like fissure that turned into a chasm.
I don't think
that's
so.
my point of view on it. But so okay, so for me, those words matter. For you, you're saying that he was close enough
because he left off the B and the A. You know,
and for you, that's not a big deal. What I'm saying is, and that's what I said. I spent 15 minutes talking about how important just leaving those two words out are to me, because it shuts the door to context. In context, from where it was, from where she's coming from, is everything. When you shut that door on context, and don't allow for that possibility to come in, now you can be characterized a certain way that's completely inaccurate, and that's exactly what happened. And so for me, it matters.
Correct. Now, I'll give you that. For him to not say everything, I think it didn't mischaracterize what she said, but I think that for accuracy's sake, it was just, and it wasn't 100% accurate. But let's be intellectually honest, though, Frank. She calling someone the N-word and calling someone a BAN word. The characterization I felt was accurate, though. She called him that to insult him.
She did.
And that's the point.
But it's how you insult him. That's where the context matters. You just calling, hey, you are N-word, right? That implies that I am separate from you. I'm above all the things that, like, say you would say, think of someone in 1910 would call a black person the N-word.
Mhm.
That means a certain thing. It means something different when a dude to another dude who wants to insult him on his masculinity say, "Oh man, you a BAN." And
Mhm.
they want to, the intent is to insult, but you're doing two different things. And what she did was closer to the modern, what I just said, when
Correct.
you're insulting masculinity, you're trying to put them down, as opposed to what it was being characterized as when you leave out those and you just say, "Oh, you just called him an N-word." Those are two
Okay.
different things. And so the reaction creates a completely different reaction. It sets up a whole nother dynamic that is not authentic. That's not true. And to me, the authenticity, the accuracy matters. To me, that's what being intellectually honest means.
Fair
Being
enough.
intellectually dishonest is taking the words and then saying you said this, but you mean something that the person didn't mean at all. You feel me? That's how you can be intellectually dishonest, when you characterize something in a way that it wasn't.
But
So
how did you feel he characterized her saying the N-word though?
that's what I'm saying. He opened he by leaving those two words out, the B and the A, and leaving out all the context. I don't think he did it intentionally, but it left the interpretation to be interpreted in this 1910 way that you people was insulting. And so, when you do that, now you're throwing in all that other context. She's not a part of who we are. She's separate. She's looking down. She's trying to put you down. How dare you? As opposed to the context being, someone who's used the word their entire life, grew up with the word, use it the way that Black people use it, that we use it, then that's a whole different concept. It's a different meaning. And go ahead.
Because I hear what you're saying, and that's a fair point, 1000%. But let's back it up. Like, Jen has already professed to be Afro-Latino.
Right.
And again, Lolita Turning came to the conclusion at the end, once all of the actual words were disclosed, the full BAN word, he was like, the way that Jen proclaimed it, and Jen framed it as if I'm not Black and I'm Afro-Latina. I'm set separately from you. Donovan, I believe, is someone that identifies as being a part of the African American community.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're African American on that stream, and in some way you identify with Donovan because you're African American, he's African American, and here this Afro-Latina who doesn't identify as Black, but I have African roots, African and Latino roots, and she says you BAN word, you already know that she set herself apart from the community that you're in. You already have that context.
Right.
So,
but here's the thing, she's entitled to it, because the fact is she is separate. She's not Black.
But we're entitled to not like it because that same fact too.
That's cool, right? And I'm with you 100%. She can have her point of view and she can do her thing, and we can say, "Hey, that's messed up. That's foul." But let's make sure that if we're going to disagree, we disagree on what actually happened. Let's make our disagreement be intellectually honest, so that we all have an understanding of what actually happened. Don't come at her and try to call her a racist because it was characterized that she called the person the N-word that way. I don't think Jen is racist.
But okay, that's fair. I don't either.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say to another Black person that sees a Afro-Latino woman that does not identify and makes it very clear that she does not identify as a Black person, saying BAN word, and we know what that word means to us in our community.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that that person shouldn't feel that that was racist. I can't say that.
Gotcha. I think that I feel you. I think that's fair. I think we've been going at it. We've been doing our thing, and this is good, because this is the crux of being able to have these kinds of discussions and just talk it out.
Yeah.
That perspective you're bringing is something that Jen needs to hear, because whether or not she feels like you are, like, say, right in your stance, what she does
Hmm.
need to understand is how people, intelligent people who don't have a dog in the fight,
Right.
can react to what she's doing. She needs to be able to understand that. Now, if she agrees with it or not, if it changes her, the way she rolls or whatever, it is what it is. But she needs to be able to hear that perspective. So that's a huge perspective. I'm coming to you now, JP. You
I want
ready?
to hear JP.
I
I
know,
want to hear
Antonio,
JP.
we got caught in because I didn't want to lose the nuance there. I really didn't want to lose the nuance of what we were talking about.
No,
Go
no,
ahead,
no, you're
JP.
fine.
Thank
You're
thank you for
fine.
being so patient.
Thank you. Thank you all for, thank you, Frank, for allowing me to be up here. Those of you who came over to my channel and asked about me earlier today, I'm doing better. Um, doing this every day may not be the thing that I'll be able to do. It takes a lot of work as one person trying to get it all done, and my little body can't handle it. But I'm doing the best that I can, and I'll be popping up on Frank's stream anytime that I can. So, Frank, I appreciate you. Truly, I sent you an email, but I will. I need to send my contact information so that we can get together behind the scenes. I don't know if you know that Jen is in your chat right now. You do? I can't hear you.
I just muted my mic. Yeah,
There
I
we
can
go.
see
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to be so, Jen, welcome. Like I said, I am not here to tell you anything. You're a grown woman. You're older than me, so you're entitled to do what you want to do. But I do intend to use this as a teachable moment for everybody else, and specifically for my people. So I'll tell
And I'm gonna
you.
get you to pause that real quick because I
Go ahead.
appreciate what you just did. Let me shout. Let me give a shout. Jen is in here, and she's participating, and I see she's in the chat. And I haven't been paying attention to the chat, so I don't know what the back and forth have been. Guys, just like I want us to be respectful in the panel, I would hope that we are as respectful as we can be in the chat too. You can't run the chat. You let everybody know the chat is definitely another level, but if possible, we want to try to be as, the things that we do here in the panel, we want to see that mirrored in the chat as well. Sorry for interrupting you. I just wanted
You're
to get
fine.
that in.
And there's certainly some ground rules. She's basically been respectful. It's just that the way that Jen speaks and moves would trigger some people. And that's one of those things we need to understand what it is and why it's being done so that we can move accordingly. Because at the end of the day, we cannot do anything about Jen's behavior. The only behavior we have control over is ours. But if we know what to look for, we know how to move when it comes to those people. And again, as Darius said, I don't know her as a person. I know her as this being that she is on the internet. And that is what I'm addressing. So, Frank, earlier I took notes because, I don't want Joe to be the only one out here breaking his right hand. Let's see here. One of the first things you said was how and when to concede, right?
To concede, like, what do you
Just
mean?
in an argument. Like, when is the time for you to back down and be like, you know what? Even if we don't agree, let's just, bring
Yeah, I
this
feel like
back
I might
to
have
a.
alluded to that. Yeah. Is there feedback on my end, by the way? I don't know if you guys can hear like white noise or anything
No, well, you're echoing, but
echoing.
It
yeah.
may be, let me turn off the other. I paused it, but that may not be good enough.
Okay. I just want to make sure on my side that it's not
Okay.
bad.
Is that okay? And I can turn my microphone down some too.
Cool.
I got a new microphone because the lead attorney kept fussing at me. I was like,
Hey,
I'm gonna stay, but I got to stay on this big old platform.
and
Damn.
he believes in the good sound.
Doesn't he though? So, excuse me. So again, when it comes to when to concede, I think that, and I'm dealing with this as a man and woman situation just in this moment, okay? And then we'll get to the other things. When you're in a discussion, okay, as two men, you and Darius, when you all come together to have a conversation or conflict resolution, you all already know that there is some underlying tension just because you're two men in a room, right?
Hmm.
Fair enough.
Okay. And then there's whatever it is you have to argue about. Women don't have that. We don't do that amongst ourselves in that fashion, and we certainly aren't aware of that when it comes to a man. We more often than not move as though y'all move like we do. You all are in protection mode all the time. We are in protection mode when we get to when we have to become an alpha female or defend ourselves. But otherwise, we move in this more nurturing kind of peaceful fashion. So we don't understand that when we get ready to go at it, even in words, it escalates and escalates and escalates. And for a man, each time an argument escalates, there's a certain the tension rises, right? Until you get to a point where, listen, it's hard to hang on to the point where you're like, you know what, this ain't a man, and swing for the fences. Is how I feel about it, right? And I think that we need to have that conversation with our women more often, right? And I think that that's one of the things that was displayed there that had, is important. We need to start talking about how we move amongst each other and that men aren't the same. Jordan Peterson talks about men being a monster. And in some ways, they should. If you expect this man to hop up out the bed and go and chase down whatever demons coming through the door, you should expect that y'all aren't on the same level when it comes to how to fight and move. So I'll stop right there if anybody wants to.
I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of my points too. Jen was very emotional, and Donovan was too, don't get me wrong, but it was focused differently. Like, he's aggressive because when you're defending your stance, and as a man, when you believe on something you stand on, you have a natural aggression towards it. And when we disagree in the barbershops about sports, about politics, about whatever, we have that same aggression towards each other. And because a man has that aggressive, competitive streak in him a lot of times. And Donovan brought that to the argument. Jen took it as she's being attacked personally. And rightfully so. He took his jabs, of course, but it's kind of like, in his mind, playful jabs. Like, I'm just gonna rough you up to let you know that I'm here to debate you, as opposed to project and hurt you and insult you and degrade you. I don't think it was going towards that way.
It's funny. I felt like he was. I'll let you keep going, but I felt like he was coming at her. Like, I don't think it was playful.
I have a question though. Let me just pause and ask this question. Donovan chose this thing to pick and jab at Janet, and I don't remember because she was grating to me. I'm gonna be honest, not my cup of tea, so I wasn't going down that road for long. But he picked at the things that he knew would irritate her, and you can fully understand that, right?
Absolutely.
I felt like he did that, yeah.
She chose to call him a BAN because she knew it would trigger him. What's the difference?
Yeah, she tried for sure. I don't know if it actually triggered him, but what he did. Go ahead.
Right, and that's my thing though. If we can see it in Donovan's behavior, it's the N word in the situation that's got us all upset, right?
Right.
In reality, what did she do any different than Donovan?
Right. I'm
That's
with
a
you.
good point.
And I think she would tell you that she was just matching his energy. That's what she would tell you. Now, whether that's right or wrong, but I think that's in line with what you're saying. You're saying that basically he did what he did, she did what she did. They seem to be roughly the same types of intent, and she just did it her way. He did it his way, and she did it her way.
Which goes back to my further statement about who concedes. If we're trying to move the conversation forward, and you can't win at the end of the day, the same way them fit and fresh boys know they couldn't win, had to go get a gun. You can't win at the end of the day. You should be the one ready to concede.
That's true. But I will say this though. I would say that while they had the same intent, the impact was different, because Donovan was trying to take jabs at her because he knew kind of those sore spots. He knew where to take her to get her in a certain position. And Jen did the same, but I felt that once Jen reached to that BA N-word level, Donovan backed off a little bit because he was like, I think I won because I got her there. I got you there. I hit that spot because now you calling me a BA N-word. And granted, he was like, I'm pretty sure he was taken aback because I mean, Jen took it there, but I think Donovan's intellectually aware enough to know that if he says the right things, he's going to get that reaction. And I think he was aiming for that reaction, and she gave him that reaction. And once he got that reaction, he kind of like took his jabs, boop, boop. He became an agitator at that point. So I don't.
It was definitely not a perfect situation.
It's not.
I have if you see here, let me get the name right. Kareem, Owl of Championship. Let me know because I have you here. Apparently, you want to jump right in. Just tell me because you want
Yeah,
to
you're
jump
right.
in.
You got it right.
Oh, okay.
I agree with everything you guys are saying. My point is, this thing with I'm from New York too, so I know about how everyone says the N word to each
Mm,
other. Mexican, Pakistanis, they say it to each other. So they use it as a term of endearment and also as a term of, cursing somebody out. They do that. So that point that she made, I understand that. However, she's on a platform. You're on YouTube now. You have a channel. You are in these spaces a lot. You have to kind of calibrate, know your room. Yes, she says she's Afro Latina, but like I said in the chat to her, what's Afro Latina? My friend is from, well, she's born here, but her father is Panamanian, dark like us, black people. Her mother's from Costa Rica and black. She is black. She identifies as black, but of course, their culture is Latino, speak Spanish, do the same Spanish thing, but she identified as a black person. Now, Miss Jen is saying that she's half black or half Latin. I don't know the mixture. She's saying some of her family's black, some of her family's Latin, whatever, whatever. Okay, fine. You identify whoever you identify. If you want to be, are you mixed race? You mixed race? Is she mixed? Like the problem is you don't even know what to identify as, but then you're saying, okay, I have the right to say it because I have half this and half that. Okay. Um, I just felt like also, yes, it was disrespectful. They both were disrespectful to each other. And, she's been on the platform before. I watch the show regularly. I've seen her before. And she has that, she pa 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 type type energy when she comes on the show. So um I don't think she's racist at all. I really don't. I just think that's the way she does speak. But I think she should have read the room better just because she's been on this platform and she knows how people are. And all the drama with, she mentioned Gina Rodriguez, Evelyn Lazada, all this drama with them saying the word. She knows the backlash that it's going to do. So for her um, public persona or whatever, because YouTube is a semi-public thing, you
mhm.
should watch how you speak because that's only gonna make you that's only gonna reflect negative on you. Like
Mhm.
whatever you say to your family or you speak to your family, you can't go out in public, you can't go on the job, and this is kind of like a job. No, this is like a little side hustle for people. You can't talk like that, so you have to watch how you speak um when you're in mixed company. That's all I have to say.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a really fair point. You're saying,
Can
hey,
can
go
I
ahead,
say
go ahead.
this?
Yeah.
She's a troll. You all have to understand that everybody makes money some kind of way. There's an entire group of people who do not mind being abrasive and over the top because there's an entire community of people who don't mind being abrasive and over the top or wish that they could. And so, Kareen, I agree with you that if we were talking about on a mainstream level right here, or you and I who are actually trying to develop people, that's one thing entirely different. But you have to put this thing in its box. It just happened to flow into our community for whatever reason, and that's my opinion, my problem with it. It shouldn't be in our community.
Hmm.
She may be Afro Latina. That's as we are African American, there is some connection there, right? We may have a little bit of lineage family between us, but there is family that you invite to the barbecue, and then there's family that only comes to the family reunion. You feel me?
That's right.
I
All
hear
right.
you. I
So,
hear
so
you.
hang on real quick because I want, and I'm gonna let you respond, but I want to make a point here, and I want to make it I want to make an easy point, like a, I want to do this as because I'm not trying to make, a particular statement, but let me do this real quick because I think it's important. I'm going to share the screen. All right. So you guys can see this. Maybe I can. Yeah, it's in the middle. How do I need to make this really big, or can y'all see? Maybe if I click on
Make it a
one,
little bit bigger.
I hope I can. Let's see. I'm not sure if I really can. I'm just gonna read it. But what you're looking at here is you guys have probably seen this before. It's the pyramid of the hierarchy of debate. And when we're in these public spaces, um, we see that when we're debating, at the very bottom is the name calling. That's like the lowest form of debating. It's not really debating at all. People who start doing this usually are on the losing end. The very top is when you actually refute the central point, explicitly refuting the central point, and then you talk it right under it. It tells you how you refute what that is, finds the mistake, and explains why it's mistaken using quotes, and then on down. Just above name calling is the ad hominems, where you attack the characteristics or the authority of the person rather than the argument that they're making. I mentioned this, and there's something else that you got here. This is another different way to put it over here. Name calling, ad hominem, and then all the way up. Reason why I want to make a point here is because I don't know, and I'm gonna have you come right back on to kind of say this, but what you did just there, JP, is something that I think is a mistake. You led with calling her a troll. And when that happens, when you do stuff like that, I know you're trying to use it as a descriptive, and I think we all can kind of understand what it is, but there's a lot more that comes with that word than just what you are kind of meaning. And even if you mean that, you're still calling someone direct. It's a name calling as a way to try to define and explain your perspective about who the person is and why they're doing stuff, as opposed to talking about the argument in a way that just focuses on whatever the argument is, and you agree with it, you don't agree with it, or maybe you explain. So anyway, my point is the troll, calling a troll. I do have an issue with that, but I want to hear how you reply to that, JP.
Okay, as I stated at the beginning of this, I am not speaking to Jen as a person because I do not know her. I am speaking to the behavior in general, and thus when I said a troll, that is trollish behavior.
And that's how I would have preferred to hear it, just me personally.
Well, okay, see, now we're
Calling
getting
somebody
into,
a troll. Go ahead.
indeed, however, that would be policing my speech. And that is where you and I may disagree. As I said, Jen has the right to say everything she says. She has the right to the opinion that she has. When she puts it on a public platform, it is going to be picked apart, and that is our right. I have the right to pick apart what it is that she has said, and I'm not doing so. I'm not attacking her. The behavior is separate from Jen, the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so when I speak, when I say the behavior, that's trolling behavior, and I've already made it clear, I'm only speaking about behaviors.
Mm-hmm. Wait, okay, I hear you, and I'm with you. I'm just
You
going.
say, okay, hold on.
I heard
You
you say
saying,
she is a
yes,
troll. That's what you say. You didn't say the behavior is trollish behavior.
because I've
Uh-oh.
already stated that I'm only speaking to the behavior. I'm sorry, I think that's my puppy with her toy. Can you hear a honking sound? Or is that, oh, you mean your green
Yeah.
screen?
Yeah, my green screen. I left it. I
Oh, okay,
lost it.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I apologize for the honking. That's the puppy, and it's either that or have her in my lap. Um, so again, my issue with this part right here is that what you prefer,
Well, I'm
with the
just pointing it out.
exception,
What I'm
right? So
saying. Mhm. Go
with the
ahead.
exception of cursing, using the bomb words up in here, how I frame a word. I mean, in which spaces I put words.
Yeah.
That's policing my
Right.
word,
And I
not
don't
my
want to
tone.
police it. I feel you. And I don't want to police it. What I'm trying to identify is that when we do that, and you have every right, I want to point out where that can take the conversation. So maybe it is in a way it's policing, but when we just flat out, it's just like when Anton called your boy trash. You are trash. You are a troll. Now you're not. I'm not equating the two, but what I'm saying is, it has this effect, and the reason why it's at the bottom is because it takes us away from really what we're trying to do, and instead it puts the individual on the defensive, and it has. I think it takes us down, a different path, like a downward path as opposed to upward.
I will give you that. And I would also state, though, if I were speaking directly to her, I wouldn't have called her a troll, right? Again, there's context matters.
Right.
So, having said that, I will try to be more mindful because it is important to me, as I've said in several streams, including my own, that the way that we speak does matter. It's on the part of the speaker to get the message across as clearly as possible, because there are always people who will be able to take a tendril here or a strand there and go their own way with it.
Right.
So I appreciate
We
that.
agree. Yeah, thank you.
But the behavior is absolutely trollish. That
I'm
is
with
all
you.
that it is. And if you see that for all of the red flag markers that are trolling behaviors, you know to put it in that spot and then just deal with the words and the message, right? Or the context, in this case, even.
I'm with you.
So,
Jen, go ahead.
No,
I
go
just put
ahead.
on here. Jen just wanted to know how much longer I go. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just letting people kind of express themselves. I probably shouldn't go too much longer. I'm but if you want to call into something, that's cool. Kareem was gonna say something, and then we can go back to Darius because Darius been chilling for a minute. So Kareem, go ahead.
I enjoy
I
hearing
mean,
ladies.
yeah, it is trollish behavior because, like I said, I've seen her on the panel, and she loves to take that view. I mean, like I said, I would have wished for her not to go there, but like I said, it was a disrespectful conversation between both of them anyway. So she's a New Yorker. We do hit back. We do defend ourselves. I'm familiar with the behavior. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm familiar with the behavior. However, on a public platform, I wish we would not just engage in certain things.
Mhm.
That was my issue with it.
That's such a valuable perspective because for me, coming from, I'm born and raised in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, I have no clue what the general New York culture might be like. And maybe JP and Darius maybe have different perspectives, or maybe they're familiar. But to have someone like you who come in and give us this perspective of kind of what the norm is right there with it, and can, you kind of understand and can talk about and communicate a little bit of the perspective, the context, I think is huge. And I find your comments very reasonable. Darius, you got anything?
I do, but I don't want to be the dead horse. It's been beat to death. My thing is just my thing has always been strengthen your argument, weaken your insults. You don't have to insult people, even if they insult you. By just refuting what they say, you've already won, and that's the whole point. And it's like, and I took it, and the thing about what Jen said is that even though I don't agree with everything that Donovan said, to be honest, I some things I understand the concept, but how it was presented, I was like, ooh, okay, that's a little spicy there, buddy. So I get why Jen would be, provoked. But everything that he said was part of a strategy to win and ultimately win an argument or present his side of the argument, right? When Jen got, to that BAN word part, she began to insult other people. And even on the following day when she was trying to explain herself, she began to insult the chat and insult other people. So it comes out of a place of pure anger. And I feel that if you're going to be in these spaces with people with different ideas, different understandings, people from different cultures, because look, you have Africans in the lead attorney's chat, and those Africans from Africa or from other places in Africa, they may have a totally different feeling about the N word that we don't even know or not privy to. You have people that are overseas, people from England, people from here, people from there, and they're not privy to how we use it in a certain context, or they're not privy to how Jen uses that on the block. They're not privy to that. There's more than just the majority of the community is Black people. I can give you that, but there's a large section of people that are from Africa, from overseas, from different parts of the world, and it's just when you're on a platform, you're no longer on the block. And if you're going to be on someone else's platform, it'd be one thing if Jen was on her own channel and had kind of the leniency or the wiggle room to say what she wanted to say in free speech. But when you're on someone else's stream and you take it to that level, and you have really a disregard, let's be honest, a disregard for the other people that are listening to you, it just rubbed me the wrong way. So
right. Again, you're kind of expressing kind of a similar sentiment as Kareem. All right, so I believe Jen is right here with us. So what I want to do is
really quick, just to Darius. I'm sorry.
Okay, very quick. Do I need to pull out the courtesy clock?
No, you don't.
Okay, go ahead.
Darius, and I want you to take this with you.
Okay.
The reason that, as I just said, that the responsibility is on the speaker to get the message across. If Black folks are going to be this bothered by the use of the N-word by anybody outside of the culture, they have to stop using it inside of the culture. On that, Jen and I agree. We have to stop. It's up to us also to point it out when someone else does it, regardless of their race, color, whatever it is. Now, we'll get into how I feel about bringing folks into the community for an entirely different reason, but take with you that part. If we take it out of our music in our homes, if we take it out of our books in our homes, out of our words, out of our mouths and our children's mouths, that's how we change it. And it can be done because I have a 26-year-old son who never used the word inside of my home. I can't tell you what he did on the streets. I'm not responsible for that. Things do happen. But I made my home a place where you kept your innocence and your Blackness most important, and so you did not call yourself that.
Got it. All right, I think you make an extremely valid point there. Jen is here. We've been talking about her this whole time, so I think we definitely need to give her some time. I see you right here, Adrian. I want to pull you in is when I can, but we definitely want to give Jen the space here to really offer her perspective on not only stuff, my breakdown on what I had to say, but what she's heard up to this point. Jen, you here?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, so your breakdown was fair. I'm not offended by anything you said or offended by anything anybody else said. At the end of the day, everybody is entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to judge me. Everybody's entitled to see me how they see fit. I'm a little, I know for a fact that I'm a little more detached and abrasive than the average person, right? A lot of people get offended easily. And the retort I usually get is, well, what if we said X, Y, and Z about women? Or what if we said X, Y, and Z about Latinas? And my response is always, you can say whatever you feel like. And then it is up to me to be offended. I always say being offended is a choice, not an obligation. So I take a look at people who may say something derogatory about me or Latins or my culture or my group, my tribe. And I say, do I know this person? Do I care about this person? Am I paying bills with this person? Am I doing bills with this person? Then no, I'm going to choose to not be offended. But I know that's not the norm, right? I know that's not the norm. So yeah, I can understand that a group of people hang on to certain things. And it's like, I'm going to be offended by everything. And I feel sorry for people like that, but I can't change who they are. What I wanted to address was the talk about the brand. I think Kareen said, well, you know, I wish she wouldn't have did that on the platform. To be clear, the brand is the block, right? When people invite me on their platform, that is what they're looking for, the block. They're not looking for me to be civil or cordial, depending on the platform, right? As far as the lead attorney, when Kareen said that she saw me there prior. When I first started being interested in his platform, I thought he was amazing. I was like, okay, pretty cool. I like this. He's fair. He lets everybody talk. He challenges them, right? To the point where when he challenged me, I was like, I'm going to give him respect because he's smart. You know what I mean? He knows what he's talking about. Now, as time progressed, and you're going to see, mark my word, as time progresses even further, unfortunately, the lead attorney is going to turn into one of the charlatans. Okay, he said it himself when he talks about certain subjects. He doesn't get a lot of views. As soon as he starts talking about gossip and drama, he has 500 people, 3,000 people in the chat. He admitted when Anton and Lucario were arguing, that was his biggest audience. So we're going to start seeing what I liked about him deteriorating. And that's fine. That's fine. But what happened that day was he deteriorated in present time. And then I did my matching energy thing. And I was sincere about, I shouldn't have went there because that's not who I want to be, right? And it has nothing to do with age. I know people throw the age. I don't care about, it has nothing to do with age. Just, I don't want to be that person. I know there's better ways to communicate. But when I'm on a platform where there are a bunch of people, and not all, I literally have a sign that I hold up when I'm doing my show, not all, because not all people are this way. But when I'm on a show where someone is now attacking me and being cute, like I was surprised when the lead attorney was like, oh, but you're 50. Yeah. And I was like, oh, damn. I was disappointed because I'm like, oh, now he's going to be one of these guys. Like all the respectful things that I liked him for, I was like, oh, now he's going to be one of these guys. So then I quickly put him in that box. I said, okay, now he's clowning. And then I matched the energy when I should have just removed myself and said, you know what? He's there. He's crossed the line. He's going to be like Donovan and Anton and the rest of them. This isn't where I want to be anymore. So that was my bad, right? I should have pulled away. But if you see me in the earlier shows with the lead attorney, you see my response isn't that. Even when people were attacking me, because let's be clear, I said all of you are a bunch of idiots, because they were constantly attacking me. And I think I handled that well for a long time. People on the panel attacking me, people in the comments attacking me. I was like, fine, I'm used to this. I'm a New Yorker. Like Kareen said, this is what we do, right? Fisticuffs, gloves are off. But I was like, all right, but I'm going to say how I feel about you. And then everybody who chose to be offended was offended. And that's a common theme on social media and YouTube. You know what I mean? It's all about offense. It's all about how offended can I get so I can clap back. And then, you know, people have personal issues and they're projecting and X, Y, and Z. But when I called Donovan a BAN, what I was trying to do was emasculate him. Right. And sometimes, believe it or not, I get offended when I'm questioned about that word because I'm like, wait a minute, this is my community. OK, this is my community. You have no right to tell me when and where and what I can say things because you think that I'm a certain type of person. So sometimes I don't want to take the time to explain my background and my family and how I've been called the N-word lover, how I've been called an N-word, you know, by people in my family for certain reasons, because, you know, the whole colorism with Latinos, some are blonde and blue-eyed, some of us are brown, some of us are dark-skinned, right? So that's a whole other separate issue. So when I'm pissed off already, I don't want to explain that I've had to defend myself and my friends and my family from the N-word with the R at the end. I expect people to understand and know that, but the current environment with the Evelyn Lozadas, like somebody mentioned earlier, and the Gina Rodriguez's and the Jennifer Lopez's, I can't relate to those women, right? So when I get put in those categories, it infuriates me. It infuriates me. And I've done shows talking about Jennifer Lopez hijacking where we're from, okay? hijacking where we're from and making an entire career out of it, knowing that she hasn't been in the trenches with us. She hasn't been on the block at all, quite frankly. So that's what I wanted to say. I'm not offended by anything. Some people have skewed biased opinions. Some people were totally off about who and how I am. But again, you are entitled to judge me and see how you see it. My only issue was you're not going to silence me. You can be offended by what I say. You can not like me. You can block me. You can call me whatever you want. But when I clap back, don't cry foul. Because in my opinion, that was a BAN move. Don't cry foul. And that's what the men that I was talking to at that particular time were doing, where they were poking the bear and they was like, oh, look, now she's clapping back. And you can't use your measuring stick for offense, right? Me calling him BAN, when he called me boo-boo, honey, sweetie, repeatedly, when all I asked him was, just address me by my name. Just address me by my name. I was okay. Now he's trying to diminish me, so I'm gonna emasculate him by calling him a BAN, because in my opinion, a BAN is it's emasculating a man. Like you're not even a full-blown male. You're a BAN. So that's where I was coming from. That's what I wanted to say about that. But I'm not offended, or you're entitled to your opinions. I'm not gonna try to silence you. All I'm saying is you're not gonna silence me. I don't care how big the mob is. I won't be silenced. And if my channel is not your cup of tea, like I forgot her name, said JP, I think. If my channel is not your cup of tea, that's great. I mean, your channel may not be my cup of tea. There are millions on YouTube. There are millions. Like I don't listen to every channel either. So I'm cool with that. I'm sincerely cool with that. But, and I'll end with this. I'll just end with this.
Uh-huh.
I'm the girl you want next to you when someone's coming for you. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
So wait, because what I want to do is first, I'm glad that you came on, and like just like everybody, we weren't participants. You were an actual participant. You know, you had the back and forth, and we've done, including myself. I went deep and gave my whole opinion on what I thought happened. And so I think that you are okay all the way through. And so I just appreciate, I wanted to make sure that I give you the time to say your full opinion, because you are the person that is involved in the situation, and we've been commenting, so you have every right to state your piece. So when we begin, and I don't want to take a whole lot of time because we've been here a long time as it is, and I'm sure maybe some people have some questions. I don't want this to be, if at all possible, a situation where we feel like we have to justify. I do want this to be a time for sharing, you know what I'm saying, and our opinions. And if you have a question that somehow, you know, can lead us somewhere, then definitely. But I don't want this to be a situation where it's like, well, why you said this and why you did this, because everybody has really stated their position on where they are. One thing I do want to ask in turn, I'm gonna give it straight to you first. I want to ask the first question, and then JP had a hand up, so I'll go to JP. And then Adrian, you've been so quiet, I got to come to you sometime, right? So are you at all, after hearing everything, you know, my take and the different people's perspectives, are you at all interested in any kind of sit down attempt at reconciliation with TLA about the whole thing that went down? You know my perspective. I feel like a lot of miscommunication was going on. Are you at all interested in that, or you can just take it or leave it? Like, where are you on that?
No, I'm not interested, only because, like, I know he's crossed. Now he's trolling. Now he turned into a troll. So I'm putting him in a box now with the rest of those guys, and that's not what I want to be on YouTube for. Now, I know any of that. I've gotten a couple invites to certain shows because these guys are trying to create content by any means necessary. But I'm not interested. He'd have to apologize to me and ask me on, and that's not going to happen. So,
but you don't know. Okay, so number one, you called him a troll. I came at JP, and now I gotta, you know, at least say, come on, you know, you're gonna do what you do. I'm not saying you can't, but you know, when you do stuff like that, we know where that kind of takes us.
Right. I mean, she had every right to say I was trolling, whatever. That's what happens on YouTube. YouTube is it's not PBS. It's not Channel 13. It's not the History Channel. It's not the Discovery Channel. It's a smorgasbord of a bunch of charlatans and clowns trying to monetize gossip. That's all it is to me. So
I'm gonna add charlatans and clowns. I feel you.
It's just not. I'm sorry. It's just not. I've worked corporate. I've worked blue collar. It's not a place where I was like, well, let me sip my tea and put my pinky up and wear my best polka dot dress. It's like it's a circus. It's a circus to me. So she wasn't off when she said troll. But then I said, by that very definition, all of them are trolls. Donovan, TLA, Anton, Kevin Samuels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like, for lack of a better term, it's like when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Anybody who loves me and knows me and is a dear friend of mine knows who I am. So I don't really care about the perception of the circus, so to speak.
I guess I'm by myself. I'm the only one that want to be in La La Land, and it could be just unrealistic expectations. These streets might be too hard for a certain amount, the kind of the way I would want it to go. So it's all good. JP, I'm gonna let you want to say one thing, and then we're going straight to Adrian.
Plus, he hung up on me. I'm like, oh no, that was rude.
Okay.
After putting words in my mouth, he hung up on me. So I was like,
let me try to get this into a bubble as quick as possible then. Okay. What Jen just made clear to me is that how she views YouTube is how she moves on YouTube. Same thing for us. Frank, you're trying to create a space where you can grow a community that can support your children and the children who come after your children. And that is how you would like to be able to view YouTube. So you have to create that bubble. And Jen, this is no offense to you. This is truly as an example. You would want to make sure that that person either does not come into your bubble or knows how to move once they're inside of your bubble. Right. So that's it. And I think that that's part of the reason why for us, it's like, whoa, no. And Jen's like, yeah, but this is just who I am. And the other thing is, Jen, you said at some point in your videos, and I think I heard you say it here, that you thought no one should use the N-word. I would like to know why, but I can't get the answer now because Frank gave me 15 seconds. So if you could put it in the comments, I would appreciate that.
You know what? Okay, how many you got? Because I'll go ahead and let her dive into that.
So, no, please let her finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the first thing was, why did you say that? Okay, and then can you put that down there? And then the second thing is, can you see how it's not just about the offense of the word? It's a dangerous word for some of us. Right? At the end of the day, even when you and your homies are calling each other that word, y'all know y'all not going to die to that word. I know that in the moment that my cousin lost his life, or my boyfriend for that matter, it could have been turned against him. And it don't matter who said it in that moment. It was the last word that he heard, and it was disgusting. That is how I move, and that is why I don't use it and don't allow anyone else in my space to do so. And then the last thing is, I would just like to say, you move according to the space that you're invited to. You came into Frank's space, and I do not remember you even saying, hey, hello, I'm Jen, I'm here. Frank's space is different from TLA's space. You assume because I'm saying this is my opinion. You assume because you saw him on TLA's space that might be how he moves. But over here, a little bit of courteousness first. Hey, how you doing? Good to see the family. Because when we see you, or if I see you out in the YouTube streets, especially now that I've spoken to you, hey Jen, how's your spirit? Even if I'm not going to your channel, if I see you in a stream and we chat, that's what I'm going to do. Those are the things that I had to say.
I respect, just on that last point, I respect you tremendously, JP, for what you're saying. I just want to put out there, I was cool with, I was so busy into what I'm doing, I didn't even quite notice when Jen came in, but I feel where you're going. I'm sure, hopefully,
and that's
Jen
why,
agrees with that.
Sorry, because the chat's not really for you in that moment. It's for the people in there, but the people in there respect you and your space in that way, so guests should as well.
Go ahead, Jen, you have a response?
Yeah, again, entitled to an opinion. At the end of the day, entitled to an opinion. But I just want to correct something. She said the way I look at YouTube is the way I move on YouTube. No, the way I view certain channels and personalities on YouTube is how I move on channels. But I I want to speak about other things. If you see my channel, I'm interviewing a lot of people. The conversation is so starkly different from how I carry on when I'm what I would call on a charlatan's channel, right? So it's not that I'm going to go on my page all the time and troll people. What I mean, I say I have my convictions. But when I'm in that space, I do as the Romans do. You guys, if I'm in a room where it's like, all right, I don't take these guys seriously. They hate women. They're trolling. I'm going to troll because that's what I'm doing here. The same thing in regular life. If I'm around educated people that I can share with intellectually, that's going to be the conversation. If I'm just hanging out, you know, whatever at the salon and these girls are talking about penis size, then that's the conversation. So it's YouTube as a whole. And if you watch my videos, you would see that is not how I view all of YouTube, but I do not want to continue to deal with these charlatans because in my opinion, they're low vibrational. I thought TLA was more, but now he's there too. So I will bid him adieu. So I was saying, I'm not gonna a few more followers by being on his page again. No, I'm cool. I'm cool on him now, unless he apologizes for putting words in my mouth and then hanging up on me. I thought that was petty.
Okay, nice timing on the courtesy clock. I'm gonna start it. Okay, you're doing it. You're doing it. That's the reason why it's there. I'm gonna let someone else, I believe Adrian, to kind of jump in. And if you have something to say and something to engage with Jen on, then I would appreciate it. And I thank you so much for being so patient. I'm gonna put us on the clock at this point. Go ahead, Adrian.
I don't even know how to. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Adrian.
My matriarch got me schooled on being courteous. Good evening.
I'm
Darius.
Or I say you don't have to say it. Just kidding.
Darius.
And I love this energy and this spirit right now that we have.
I am not on for you to ogle me today.
Let me mute myself again.
Okay,
I'm totally poking the bear, Darius. I don't really know how to all the way jump in 140 seconds. Mm-hmm. The JP, when you do have the opportunity, do look at that Dr. Gates PBS series, Black in Latin America. I think it would quite explain a lot. I personally was not in my feelings when Jen identified herself as Afro-Latina. That is a unique cultural mix. I mean, if you were to look at me, you could see that I probably have some sort of European lineage somewhere and some African lineage somewhere. But my European lineage and African lineage is different from hers. And there is a very unique cultural thing that happened in Haiti and the Dominican Republic and Cuba and Mexico and such what in the diaspora. And I understand that. What did you say, Jen? Just because somebody didn't understand, it wasn't your duty to educate them or something like that?
Yes.
I can concur with that. Absolutely. I don't know. This whole conversation is really loaded. I got like 45 seconds. I don't know what else I can say.
I'll come back to you though.
In that amount of time. So I'm just going to hush it on up and sit here nicely.
I will come back to you if you want, and because I appreciate the everybody respecting it. That's why I have it here. And I know it's a new thing, but I really want to keep it going because everybody's being really patient as we move forward. I'm going to let either Darius or, and I think Darius just raised his hand. So restart. Let's do it, Darius. And then we can let Jen respond.
Sounds good. So I'm going to jump right into it. Jen, my issue with you is accountability. Yes, you can feel that you don't owe anybody any responsibility to explain your heritage or even care whether or not they feel offended. But here's the thing. Offense starts when someone else enacts it. No one is offended in and of themselves. It's not fair to blanket everyone that's offended because they choose to be. They were offended because they heard something that may have hurt them or may have confused them in a way that they didn't agree. And that's fair. And I feel that if you're going to operate in the YouTube space, you are going to have some accountability for the people who are listening to your message. If you want to have people come to your channel, mind you came on the Lead Attorney's channel. No one asked you to come on there. No one asked you to bring Jenny from the Block branding onto the Lead Attorney's channel. He dropped a link in the chat. You clicked on the link and you came on voluntarily. So that's a totally different avenue. And mind you, the people in the chat pay. They give super chats. I'm a subscriber. I'm a jury member. I pay $5 a month to the Lead Attorney to hear his content. So I support the channel and everyone on it. That's the thing. We're not only supporting Lead Attorney, we're supporting the Franks and the Rush Ribbons and Jens, and we're supporting you. You're giving a platform on someone else's platform to be able to speak to an audience that would normally not see you, and to go on there and to say something that could offend them, and then put the blame on them because they chose to be offended is, I feel, irresponsible. I feel that if you're going to have a platform and you volunteer yourself on someone else's, then you should at least be willing to understand, hey, I offended someone. Now, granted, this is how I talk, but you don't know how I talk. You're not on the block with me. You don't know where I come from. I haven't explained my heritage to you, so you have no understanding. There's people from Africa. There's people from the United States. There are people from Europe. There's people from all over the country. Have no idea of the N-word and the implications of that. And when they hear dialogue from either side, Donovan's side, your side, Lead Attorney's side, anyone's side, when they hear dialogue like that, they look at everyone some kind of way. So I just think that's a very irresponsible way to move on YouTube. So
okay, you're in the red, but you finished it up. Appreciate it. And give the same.
Frank, may I ask a question to Darius?
Okay,
I'll wait.
Yeah, because that was directly, that whole 3 minutes was towards Jen. So we want to make sure Jen gets the same, equal time. And then since you were so patient, maybe we'll come back to you. That was Adrian who asked that, right?
It was.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, let's give Jen her equal time, and then quickly I'll probably put a little shorter clock on it. All right, go ahead.
I would just say that I vehemently disagree with him. Again, offended is a choice, and I'm sticking to that. Because if that's the case, let's say if someone had an AK-47 pointed at your head and said something you didn't like, you're not going to argue with them. You're going to walk away because you don't want to die and you don't want to get shot. So you chose to not talk back because you don't want to get shot. So you are very capable of not being offended. People pick and choose when to be offended. As far as you're a paid customer, remember that you're a paid customer on a public forum. You're not in the Lead Attorney's living room. You are on a public forum where anybody and their mama could pop in or pop out. Now, I understand you feel loyalty or connected to it because you're spending your hard-earned money. You're giving this man your hard-earned money. So you're expecting a certain kind of decorum, things that you prefer, X, Y, and Z. Again, that is not my problem. If you are invested because you're paying for something, you have to accept that anything can go down there. No, I wasn't invited there, but the fact that, again, he's a public forum, anybody can pop on, which is why he throws the StreamYard out there. He's like, who wants to come on? Who wants to come on? At the end of the day, it's a hustle for him, and he's trying to make money. So I don't like the idea that it's like, hey, we were all in TLA's living room, and you just bust in his house and started going crazy. It's a public forum, and he's stoking the fires. Regardless of how courteous and smart and helpful he is, TLA is stoking the fires because it pays him. Let's not lose sight of that, okay? We are not in TD Jake's congregation. We are on YouTube where these guys are monetizing gossip end drama, regardless of how you're attached to it, because you're giving him your hard-earned money. But at the end of the day, offense is a choice. Like I said, you can say whatever you want to me. Now, if you came to me sincerely and was like, damn, Jen, you know what? I don't like that you said X, Y, and Z. I was offended by that. Why don't you tell me what you meant? Or can you not say it around me? I can respect that. I can respect that and be like, wow, listen, I didn't mean it that way. This is why I said it. But when I'm being attacked for my opinion, no one is getting that. No one is getting that. And it's the same way as you. If someone's attacking you, you're not going to react. You're not going to be like, oh, okay, well, let me explain. That's not my background. It's not my psyche. It's not who I am. It's not my energy. And you don't have to accept my energy. You don't have to accept who I am. But at the end of the day, it is a public forum, whether or not you're putting money in that man's pocket and he is stoking the fires for drama so you can stay on longer and you can pay more money. He is not a saint, okay? He is a character on YouTube. Let's be clear. He's just an attorney. I'm done.
Jen, I appreciate you being so on point with this clock. And this is for me. I'm pausing it now, and I'm actually going to probably put 30 seconds on. Jen, real talk, respectfully, intellectually, trying to be genuine here. Isn't there a difference? Can there be a difference between actually being offended and expressing being offended? Because you're making a distinction about choosing to be offended. Like, I know if I was the person who had the gun pointed to my head and someone said something offensive to me, I can be completely 100% thoroughly offended by what they said, but just choose not to express it because it's incredibly wise of me not to do that because they might pull that trigger. Does that make sense to you? I'll go ahead and put that down.
It kind of does make sense, and I exaggerated the point because it's a choice, right?
But that's the direct question, because you're still saying that you kind of understand it, but is it really a choice? Is the choice to express it?
Well, I don't mind who expresses what I said that offended them. I mind that they think I should be apologetic and coddle them, especially when they're adults, right? We're all responsible for what offends us. But again, I said that may be unfair because I'm not easily offended. You clap, I clap back. You clap, I clap back. I'm not easily offended.
Got it. All right. And that's a fair response. And we can choose to agree or disagree with it, but I feel like that was a pretty fair response. Adrian, quickly.
Regarding your gun analogy, Frank, I would say that you don't have a choice. I mean, if you want to keep your life, if somebody's holding a gun to your head and you're expected to stay silent to keep your life, I would say in that context, your choice has been removed from you.
I would say whether or not you're offended or not, I don't think you can control that. We are who we are. Somebody says something that's offensive to you, then you're offended. You have a choice on whether or not you express the offense. This is just me. Whether or not
you express the offense.
Yeah, exactly.
And so do you think that it's worthy to express the offense rather than to hold it in and let it fester?
That's the choice. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You are offended. It's not like you're choosing to be offended. Oh, well, let me think about what this person said. Even though they got a gun to my head, I'm going to think about whether or not I'm offended. Versus, listen, you just said something offensive. Yeah, absolutely. Whether or not, I'm offended,
even if I come on your block and start
smart
saying
for me.
You.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a question of Darius.
What's the question?
No, hold on, hang on, because I told Karina that she could go.
Oh, I thought I had 15 seconds left. I'm sorry.
That's for me. Yeah, no, that's me on the clock. I'll put myself on the clock. Go ahead. Go ahead, Karine.
Okay. I'm just gonna say, we're gonna go back and forth. She has a right to her opinion. However, I think she was very disrespectful to the audience, at least. When you say, "Oh, you're trash ass," whatever you said about the chat, okay, whatever it was, whatever word you use, I don't want to mischaracterize your word, but you was rude to the chat. And my thing is, okay, you saying everything is a troll. We all trolls. You came on this man platform, regardless of what you call him a charlatan and this and that. Okay, fine, whatever, your opinion. But I think you were disrespectful. The my girl Adrian talking about, oh, we should look at the heritage of Latinos and blacks. Yes, we the diaspora. I'm Jamaican, and certain issues when it comes to being ADOS, I can't even say certain things, and I'm a black person. So you have to watch what you're saying. I don't care if people want to say it's YouTube, it's a freedom of speech. We have freedom of speech, but when you say the N word, that's considered hate speech. So if you want to go on and do whatever, then do whatever. But that's an issue. So, who else said something? I just wanted to make sure I get everything else because I'm thinking. Oh, you said that we were triggered. You were triggered too. You were triggered when Donovan called you boo boo. Certain words do trigger people. Certain words have an effect on you. So you have to be very careful what you say to people. I mean, we're grown. You know, you say you're from New York. You hit back. Okay, yeah, you hit back, but you still have to be careful what you're saying. We're grown. We're adults. We're not children. We're not in high school where we could fight back at people. You have, if you're on a public platform, like you said, you have to be careful what you say. Period. That's it.
I gave you 90 seconds. I'm gonna give Jen 90 seconds. Go right ahead.
No, I just want to respond. It depends on, again, your audience. If you don't like my content, scroll away. I don't like Kevin Samuels all the way. Some of the things he says is cool. I'm not going to go on Kevin Samuels. You better not say that because it offends me and I'm a woman. And if you want to go further, you better stop bashing black women because I think it's bad. No, Kevin has his brand. TLA has his brand, which is now morphing into something else. I have my brand. Again, there are millions of channels on YouTube. I think if you don't like my content, you shouldn't worry about it and scroll off. It's the same thing I do. Really quickly, Friendsgiving said when it comes to the N-word, though, I thought Jen also found it offensive. Did I miss that part? Yes, the N-word with the ER is very offensive to me. And the one that ends in the A, I said no one should use, although I grew up with it culturally. I stopped using it. I curbed it. But I reverted to that to emasculate somebody I thought was trying to diminish me.
Beautiful. And you actually beat the time by a lot. So here's what we're going to do because it's 12:30 a.m.
Holy crap. Well, not here.
Oh, yeah. This is my time. My bad. I should actually just characterize. Yes, I should characterize the length of the stream rather than saying the time because it's going to be different for everybody. But I think we're at the end. And even though there are some things that I think everybody wants to either ask or still say, what I want to do is do my normal thing, give kind of a final certain amount of time for everybody to speak their piece. I'm going to end it with Jen. I'm going to say just a little bit right after that so that we can wrap it up. We don't want to turn this into, just like we said, horses dead, stinking, smelling, rotten. We don't want that. We do want it to be productive and we don't want to, just go overtime with it. So I think that's probably the wisest thing. So I'm going to start.
I thought Adrian had a question.
Who?
Adrian.
Yeah, Adrian. I think she did, but
I did, but I can put it in the chat in the outro.
No, do you think?
No.
I can put it in the chat in the outro. I'll wait.
And maybe you can even ask the question, since I'm going to let you in your final comments and then let Jen answer it that way. What I want to do is give us enough space to be able to say whatever it is or ask whatever final question. Jen will go last so that she can respond to any questions posed to her, but so that it doesn't turn into more of a back and forth, So that's all I'm getting at. So I'm going to start with, I'm just going on my screen and probably we all see like Darius is at the top and I'm just going to go straight down. That'll give Jen the opportunity to finish everything up and that'll give Adrian the chance to ask her question. I see a hand, JP. You want to go first? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, Frank. Adrian wanted to ask a question of Darius, so I'll go first so that Adrian can do that.
Okay.
Okay. So, Jen, I heard your points, and I think that a lot of them are valid. Like I said, I think we agree on a lot of things. The questions that I asked, I really do want to know the answer because if we agree that you shouldn't we shouldn't use the N-word and then you revert back to it, I'm curious as to why, because I don't. So we're women of a certain age. Feel free to leave it in Frank's comments or hop on over to my channel and leave it there. I'd love to keep the conversation going. It's important to me that young women of color, specifically black women, learn how to move in a way that's not quite so abrasive, but that's my perspective on it. Outside of that, Darius, Frank, again, I love to see two black men with beautiful smiles out here chopping it up. I appreciate you. Outside of that, thank you all for letting me come on, and I'll see y'all soon. Hopefully, I'll be up to it tomorrow. Have a good one.
Thank you, JP, and thank y'all for going with the courtesy clock, because I know it's tough. Y'all feel rushed, but I'm really trying to be respectful of time all the way across the board. So whoever wants to go next, we'll let them go next.
I'll
Adrian,
go.
ask a question.
I'll go real
Oh,
quick. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I go?
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I just want to say, like I said, I don't think she's racist, but I think, she has to just move. I think she was disrespectful though. Like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinions though. And you guys, I love your platform, Frank. It's very nice. I
Thank you.
like your demeanor. You're so calm. I hope you have a great success on this platform. Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for being so concise. I love it. I love it. Whoever wants to go next.
Ask your question, Adrian. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for giving me permission to do that, Darius.
Sorry.
I hear this word accountability thrown, or I had heard this word accountability thrown out quite a lot on the Lead Attorney's channel by one man or another, how Black women need to be accountable for this or that or the other thing. And I was just really curious to know, in the context of this discussion, what does Jen's accountability look like to you? And I'm not saying that she's willing to take on that or bear that cross to, placate your accountability model, but I'm just curious to know what that looked like to you. And that was my question.
Good question. For me, in my model of accountability, I feel that obviously Jen offended the chat, either by the word, the BAN word itself, or directly insulting the chat. And I feel like, a lead attorney has one rule on his channel, and that's you do not insult the chat. So that's a rule that most people, if you tune in, granted his stream is very long, but he lays that rule out very clear. You don't insult the chat. They're going to say what they're going to say. It is what it is, but you can't insult them. So with that being said, I feel that she should apologize to the audience of the lead attorney if she offended anyone by either directly offending the chat, or anyone offended by the BAN word. Now, she can stand by her saying it and having license to say it, fair enough. But if you offended someone, and granted, the show is about being offended by the word N-word. So it was a racially charged show to begin with. So to have that type of energy going back and forth, it got too much. So apologize to the chat at least, and apologize to the lead attorney. And he can apologize to her as well for kind of everything, apologies to each other. And that's it.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Who do we have? I want to make sure we cover everybody before we go to Jen to let her close it out.
Yeah, it's Jen. It's on Jen.
It's on you, Jen. And you know what? I mean, again, we've been throwing this stuff at you, and really for everybody, thank you so much for this kind of conversation. It's so valuable. We're sharing these perspectives. We're disagreeing, but we're not being disagreeable. And we're agreeing on some things. So Jen, I will go ahead and give you 120 seconds. That's just a full 2 minutes to kind of speak your piece on it as you close us out.
I just, people are talking about that I have to understand offense and being offended and what have you. I get that. But I need people to understand also that, quite honestly, I think it's absurd when you have any show and this goes back to this Gab comment I made. I am one person you will never meet, never have children with, never marry, never share bills with, never share life with. No one in your life that you will never meet or have no connection to should have this much effect where you have 1,000 questions for them because you were offended. I'm sorry. That is my point of view. If there was a woman or a man that was berating and bashing Latinas constantly, I mean, the worst of the worst of the worst, I would not care why they're doing it, is what I'm trying to get you to understand. So if you want me to understand that you should be offended, if you want me to understand why it's offensive, you also have to understand that I don't get that. There's not a bone in my body that is going to make me sit on a stream with 50 other people and ask them, but why? But why did you do that? But why? But I need to understand. I am not familiar with that plight. It has nothing to do with me. A lot of people say things that are offensive. I can't do it. There's nothing about, now, if you want to live like that, that's fine. But those are some of the subjects that I talk about on my channel. No one should affect you to that degree. And I will always stand by that. To have 500 people in a chat, I need to know if she's Afro-Latina. I need to know how she identifies. I need to know what she meant by BAN. Why doesn't she want to use the word N? You have to understand that. You have to look within yourself and ask yourself, why does my identity matter so much to you? It's bizarre and it's sad. No one should affect you this way. And that is my mantra and my motto. No one should affect you this way. No one's going to affect me this way. Life's too short. It's too short. So that's what I wanted to say, but I'm cool with everybody. No beef or nothing. What you saw was me reciprocating energy. I'm going to reciprocate energy tomorrow, and then I'm going to go right back to what my channel was about previously. Just FYI, you've been warned.
All right. All right, I appreciate it. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put myself on the clock, right? We're down to our last, and I'm only gonna give myself 60 seconds to close it out. 62, I guess. And what I want to say is, so the whole reason why I decided to cover this, as you saw at the preface, is because for me, this is, and JP put it perfectly, for me, this is about community building, because if we can build a community where at least we respect each other, then we can continue to move forward together on things, whether or not we agree or disagree. For me, it is fundamental about calling people names and all that. I might be by myself on it, or I might be in the minority on it, but I think that there's a certain standard when it comes to discourse in the public that I think we should aspire to. So I just appreciate that everybody here, at least coming here, is respecting that. So that we can try to come forward and try to pull something positive out of what happened. I consider it unfortunate. We all have our points of view. Hopefully it's something that we can do to come out positive on it. So there you go. That's what I have to say. I guess I'll be the last word on it. Thank you so much for the time. And what I'm going to do, like I always do, is I'm going to play my outro. That gives us extended time.
Can I say one last thing?
Okay, go ahead, and I'm gonna play my
one last thing.
No.
I'll apologize to the chat room when they apologize for every derogatory word I saw them throw in there. How's that?
We didn't ask you to come on the stream. You came in there voluntarily.
It's a public forum. You voluntarily are giving your man that man your money. It is a public
that
forum.
is immaterial to you. But
it's a public forum. Sorry.
Yeah, let her live on it. That's where her stance is, and we can disagree. And we're not saying anybody's right or wrong, but she's letting us know exactly where she stands. I would like to have you guys continue any comments you want to make as we close out. You know, I love to do that. I love seeing the comments and scrolling them up. And hopefully this will be a valuable stream to somebody where we can watch it again if people want, a little bit more perspective and insight on what happened and how we could possibly move forward. All right. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all.
God bless. Keep God first, Frank. You're doing well, man.
intro not playing because I'm still on the clock. Get out of here. I'll play it.
And then they're mad at men.
Thank you for coming on. You
Men don't want them.
Wow.